Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my channel for today's live workshop. So, as per usual, because this is live, I'm going to take a few minutes just as we start to make sure everything is coming through loud and clear. As soon as you guys see me, looks like it's starting in the back here. So I can go ahead. Does look like we're getting started here. Excellent. And let me just go and see if I can pop in. Oh, good. I do have all the comments. Just need to see if I can get them in my little thing here in my window. Where did comments go? Is this them? There they are. Excellent. Okay. So it looks like I am totally live right now, which is good. Hopefully you guys can hear me. So if you could really quickly, just let me know if you're hearing me, if the audio is coming in, if the video is coming in, and that way I can check everything. Because the one thing I can't check right now is my audio. So let's see. Okay, I'm just going to close this out for a second, but I'm going to wait to see if you guys are hearing me. Actually, I could just check myself real quick, but let's see. If the audio is there it is. Okay, so the audio is coming through. I can hear it on my end, which means, okay, good. And someone just said everything works. Perfect. I know there's like a little bit of a delay when I'm doing these. So it's like I talk for a little bit and then I have to wait for you guys to respond. So I'm just actually going to move the mic a little bit. But yeah, awesome. We are ready to go then. I'm so excited. There are so many of you guys on live. I'm so thankful for that. I'll be really honest with you guys. This week has been a little bit of a killer for me. I don't know if you guys or how many of you really like follow astrology very much. You don't have to take it seriously or anything like that if that's not what you're into. But on Sunday, it was the full moon in Aries, and my moon is in Aries. And I thought it was going to be like the start of like a really good week for me, but actually there were like a few like random weird things that happened that really like threw me off this week. And there was like, actually I was at a point where it was like actually 4 o'clock this morning and one of my dogs was puking all over the bedroom and I wasn't sure if I was actually going to be able to make it here today because I was so overwhelmed with like all the things that have kind of been like going off this week and the dog being sick. And so I was actually able to just like get refocused, get recentered and like put my priorities in order, take care of everything I need to take care of. And I realized, you know what, Alexis, this is like 1 to 2 hours out of your day. People have been waiting for this. You've been waiting for this. You've done so much work for this. Do not cancel or reschedule. Like, come hell or high water, make sure you get this class started. So has anyone else been having any like weird things going on with them? I don't know. Like we're in Mercury retrograde shadow too right now. So like there's some like weird astrological stuff going on. Right before I got on today, I came back down from like finishing my hair and makeup and my computer had like shut off. It was like error has occurred. Like, you know, the computer had been shut off and I'm like, oh gosh, please restart computer. Like, please turn on. Luckily, obviously we're good to go. But if any of you guys, hopefully you've all had a way better week than me so far. But we're going to have a great time today, and that is all that matters. Now, okay, so if you guys got my email today, you may have seen that I said I was going to be dressing up a little bit because I have a little bit of a theme for today's workshop. So obviously, the title of this workshop is Money Manifestation Techniques. And I really wanted to do this class. I've been wanting to teach manifestation like more formally for a while now, but I thought that this would be the perfect time to jump into money manifestation because number one, we're in October, right? So October is already kind of like our spooky month, right? We've got Halloween coming up in like the next 2 weeks. And, you know, there's a lot of fall things, a lot of like, you know, haunted hay rides, pumpkin patches, things like that. And although I'll be completely honest with you, I do not relegate the idea and the concept of manifestation into like spooky or magic things. Like I don't think of it that way. I don't think about it in terms of, I know some people like confuse it or misconstrue it with like witchcraft or paganism. And I think all that's fine. Like you believe, you do you, like you believe what you believe in. But for me, like manifestation isn't about magic. It's actually about metaphysics. So it's about real physical, scientific things and phenomenons that are going on that humans have control over, just like we, kind of have control over the fact that we breathe and that like our blood circulates throughout our bodies. This is something that I believe manifestation, I think, is a skill, is kind of like a not like a sense, but an ability, an inborn, like God-given ability that humans have. And we all use it, but we all don't know we're using it, right? So I thought that this would be a great month because of all the kind of spooky things that are going on to talk about manifestation. So the next other reason that I really wanted to do this, right, is because I was thinking about it, and I know we're about to step into the holiday time, right? So like next month is like the US Thanksgiving, and then we've got like Christmas and New Year's and Hanukkah and just all of the wonderful holidays coming up. And I don't know about you, but I kind of go overboard during holiday times because I really like celebrating and I really like doing all of the fun things that go along with all the celebrating. And I end up spending a lot of money, right? So as far as I'm concerned, I'm moving into the most expensive time of year for myself personally, right? And like my family and like my budgeting and things like that. So I thought, you know what? Why don't I teach manifestation to everyone? Because I think this is the time where we all need to be like working on this so that we can bring in some extra money so that we have more money to do fun things with. And as far as I'm concerned, that's like the point to me about studying manifestation in terms of manifesting money. The point to me is really to have fun with it, like to be able to get what you want out of your life. You guys know that like my motto here on my channel is to like manifest success with less stress. And that's what I think all of this is part of, like the productivity aspects, the metaphysical aspects. How can we hack ourselves as human beings and get ourselves to do the things we need to do to get what we want out of our lives so that we can fully enjoy our experience here. So that is why I've decided to do this manifestation class here in October. I just thought the timing was perfect. And so I've themed myself to be a little bit of a mystic here with like my unicorn AB, I don't know, sort of top here. I kind of did like a little smoky eye thing and I put on weight. I don't think you guys can tell because I'm not using my better camera, but I've got like way too much highlight on. So I was hoping to look a little bit like a disco ball. But you guys, I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to switch to a new view right now. Oh, and by the way, if you're watching this, please make sure to go ahead and give this a like and feel free to share it. Like take a screenshot of me right now, right? And we'll post it onto Instagram or your social media, whatever. Invite people, drop this into Facebook, let people know that this is open and like to join because we're going to have a ton of fun today, I promise. And you're going to leave with a lot of valuable tips. So you know how it is, like sharing is caring. Send this out into the world and the good vibes are only going to come back to you. So give this video a thumbs up, take a snap, send it, share it, etc. Okay, so I've got one thing. We're going to switch into another view. I've kind of like, I really wanted to play up this whole theme, this whole like mystic manifestation thing, right? So you guys ready? I'm going to switch camera views kind of thing in 3, 2, 1. Oh my goodness, you guys. Okay, so do you see what is going on here? So for majority of this class, I'm going to be lecturing to you through this beautiful crystal ball. This is why I'm kind of going with like this sparkly crystal ball theme today. A little crystally. Someone mentioned in the comments here, they need to meditate more and utilize their crystals. Exactly. This is what we're all doing today, right? Oh, people are saying, yeah, the full moon hit you hard this week too, Lids. Yeah, it's just been so crazy. So I'm glad to see that. Thank you guys for complimenting my top. Full moons were very strong in energy. They've been zapping me. Let me tell you, before I got on here, I had to meditate. Like that was one of the things that like actually, because I was up from 4 onwards. And so and then yesterday my meditation actually I'm not going to go into it too much, but something happened. There's been like crazy winds in my area. And I woke up in the morning to do my meditation and there was damage done like on my property. So I've just like not been sleeping a lot recently. And I've had a little bit of coffee. I've actually only had a little bit of coffee. Most of this energy you see me having right now, honestly, is like coming from like meditating. Like honestly, the meditation I did like about an hour ago for like 30 minutes totally helped me increase my energy. Now we're not going to be talking about meditating today. Like I'm just mentioning this to you like because we're just chatting. But okay, we're here. I got my coffee. I've got my also my matching water bottle here. I am your mystic inside of the crystal ball. And I guess we can get started. Oh, wait, but one thing before we get started though. I just want to say about this whole crystal ball thing that I really, really feel like, who has ever been to Disney World and they've gone on, what is it called? The Haunted Mansion is like my favorite ride at Disney World. And I feel like the part of the ride, I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but I think we're all adults here and have been on it. The part of the ride where you go and they talk to the woman who's like the floating head and like isn't she in an orb or is she a floating head? No, she's a floating head that's inside of a crystal ball, right? I forget what her name is supposed to be. I don't know, Madame Fortuna, maybe, who knows? But right now I feel just like that. So I'm going to be your little mystic inside of your crystal ball. So get your water, get your coffee, get your crystals, lady. Here, I've got my beautiful AB wand here. My angel quartz wand. I love this guy. We'll leave him out here just to be like festive. And I've got a whole bunch of crystals over there because I'm in my office and there's crystals everywhere. And let's go ahead and jump into the topic of today's workshop, which is money manifestation technique. So this is all about learning the metaphysical art of attracting money because, like I said in my intro, this isn't about magic, right? This isn't magic. I don't even consider this really woo-woo. I actually consider this to be an extra sense that humans have, and science really shows that we have this, and the development of the human brain and neural pathways and things like that. And we'll get into the science and the metaphysics and the quantum mechanics of this. But I really do believe that this is scientifically proven and that if you understand how to use it, you understand what your situation now is being manifested as you are and how you can change what you're getting in the future by changing the way you're manifesting. Okay. So that is what we are doing today. And I've got some notes here on my computer. Let me just get everything settled over here. Oh, can I move that? Maybe not. Maybe not. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So let's see what I wrote down here. I might have to bring this a teeny bit closer to me just for the lecturing part so I can read my notes. So everybody take a little break for a second while I'm resetting myself up. Drink some water, get yourself hydrated. All that jazz. Okay. Okay. So what was the first topic? Okay. So like I said, those were all the reasons why I've chosen this topic and why I'm doing it now in October. But the one other thing I wanted to point out was that, as you guys may have noticed if you've been following me, which I do see a lot of people here who are OG subscribers and followers, a lot of familiar faces and familiar names here in the comments, which is awesome. So you guys may have known that I have been shifting my content to include more metaphysical concepts that I've been studying and experimenting with in my own life over the last few years. And I think that manifesting money is probably the most fun and universally exciting application of some of these principles. Because like I said before, we all need money to survive as part of society. Money doesn't necessarily buy you happiness, but I think that it can buy you peace of mind. It can buy you security and space to take time for yourself and to live your best life. And I don't think any of us would turn down a little bit of extra money if we were offered it. So the thing is, I believe that we are being offered more money, more abundance, and more resources all the time. But most of us have been programmed to turn blinders on or to reject it or to have a barrier up so that we're keeping money at a distance, at a comfortable distance from us energetically. So today I really want to talk about that programming specifically, and I want to explain how we can deprogram ourselves to this reality and how we can open up and accept and allow more money and abundance in our lives starting this very moment. Okay? So the first thing that I want to go ahead and talk about is your lens of the world. Okay? So your lens of the world. Every one of us, I think we've probably heard this before, every one of us sees the world differently, but it's actually scientifically quite true that we each have a unique lens through which we see the world. I want to give you guys a little bit of science on this, right? Because I find this to be absolutely fascinating. So our brains actually process something like 400 billion pieces of information per second from our senses. So right now, as you're sitting here watching this, listening to this, through all of our senses, our brains are actually processing 400 billion pieces of information every second. But our consciousness, like what we're aware of, is only able to recognize and process 2,000 pieces of those information per second. So if you actually break this down into like a rate, right? We're talking about your mind, your eyes, your brain, you are only aware of hold on, I wrote this down. How many zeros? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. 0.00005% of everything that's going on around you. So think about that. It's not you're only processing 10%. It's not you're only processing and aware of 1%. It's not even 0.5%. It's not even half of a percent. It is 0.5 zeros, okay? 0.00005% of all the information that your brain is actually processing that you are aware of. So that's literally nothing. Like we can round this up to you are aware of practically nothing that your brain is processing right now. So the pieces of information that we do consciously pick up on reflect our personal values and expectations in the moment. And so it is very possible, it happens all the time, not just possible, it happens, that two people could be in the exact same situation and could have a completely different experience of that situation based on their individual values and expectations. So I want to give you a little bit of a visual to work this out. So let's say we've got two people walking down the same street, okay? Maybe they're walking down within minutes of each other, right? So essentially same street, same things going on. Let's say on one hand, we have someone who is out for a leisurely walk in the morning, right? Maybe someone takes their dogs out in the morning, maybe goes for a leisurely stroll down the block. And this person, because their intention might be, okay, I'm going to go out and just enjoy myself and take some time. This is part of my morning routine, whatever their lens is, they are walking around calmly. They're seeing everything. They're hearing the birds chirping. They are taking in the fresh air. They're really getting energized by the world around them. They were able to see neighbors saying hello, maybe cars that are passing, things like that. Their experience is more calm and intentional. And they're taking in one specific, lens. They're seeing through one specific lens the world. So they're waking up and they're walking down the street and they're thinking, wow, what a beautiful morning, right? Another person walks down the road. Let's say this is someone who's on their way to work and they've had a rough start to the morning. Maybe someone like me who's just had one of those weeks and they are running late. They are like disheveled, right? Their hair is barely done. They have not really eaten. They're slurping down a coffee. Their phone is ringing. They're rushing down the street, right? They're on the phone and they're just miserable, right? They're just like, panic, anxiety. I have to get to work. Like quickly. This person is doing the same thing as the other person was, right? But their experience of the day is going to be completely different. And by the time they get to work, they're probably thinking to themselves, darn, what a shitty day, right? But it's the same day. Both of them had the same day. They were walking down the same street, but because one of them was being intentional and was focused on enjoying the moment, they were able to take in wonderful things that were energizing them and uplifting them, while the other person was having a negative experience that really just felt like a distraction or a nuisance, and they weren't able to see all the beauty that was around them. So if you take this analogy to heart, right? What does this mean for each of us and our lenses and this greater conversation of manifestation? So through my lens, right, because I realize that I'm filtering all of this information through my lens of reality, and you guys are going to see you guys are going to hear and experience my lens, right? The filter of my lens through the filter of your lens. But what my lens tells me about this information is that the world is much more of an equal opportunity playing field than we're often led to believe. And that for many of us, I think it's easy for us to think that some people are born with certain advantages in life. Some people get lucky in life. Some people have the deck stacked against them. But the universe is an equal opportunity provider. So what you want and what you need is always there for you. You have access to it. You just need to shift your lens sometimes to see it, right? So that woman walking down the street, she could have had a better morning. She could have had a greater experience. She could have had a more therapeutic, like cathartic experience walking outside in nature on her way to work, but she didn't, right? It was available to her, but she had the blinders on because she was focused on what her immediate needs were because of her values and her expectations in the moment, right? So this is why your lens of the world can really get in your way sometimes. So I want to talk now about what these lenses can end up doing. So I think there are some common stereotypes that really speak to this idea that some people might have a better experience in life than others, right? I think we develop these stereotypes, and I want to share a few of them that I could think of that were probably really good examples of this that kind of related to the concept of money. And I want you guys to let me know in the comments if you've ever heard any of these before, or maybe you feel like you're guilty of believing these stereotypes yourself. So the first one is the rich are always getting richer and the poor are always getting poorer. Who identifies with that? Who feels like that was something they were taught growing up? That was something that they've seen examples of in life? Let me know in the comments. The next one is you have to work hard to earn a living in this world. Is that something you've ever caught yourself saying? Something maybe people have told you, something that you've acted on, something you've believed? And then the third one, which is one of my personal favorites, is that money doesn't grow on trees. Am I right, people? This is another stereotype that I feel like we're always confronted with. Let me know if that one resonates with you. Now, on the surface, these statements, as we know, we can dissect them, aren't 100% accurate. And we know this. That's why it's considered a stereotype, meaning that it's an observation that we've made enough times for it to solidify a story in our mind, a belief in our mind that we believe is true. Our brains love stereotypes because with all of that information that we're getting all of the time, our brains love to create shortcuts for our thinking because our brains always live in the past and they're always using past information constantly to help us through situations in the present and situations that may happen in the future. So having these shortcuts or these stereotype beliefs wired into our neural net is a complete and energy saver for us. But the thing is that they're not always true, right? We can dissect this, right? Like I said, rich are always getting richer, the poor are always getting poorer. Well, we know that's not true, right? We know that there are often people who are wealthy who lose all of their wealth. Does anyone else watch that show on Netflix called Schitt's Creek? I recently got into that and I've been like binging it, but that's a story of a family who had lots of money and they lost it all, right? So obviously the rich aren't always getting richer. And the same thing with the poor. People who don't have as much money, they don't always stay poor. A lot of people are able to lift themselves up and become millionaires, billionaires in their lives, right? So we know that this is just a stereotype. So it's probably not something that we want programmed permanently into our mind, right? Because it's not actually true and it's going to end up coloring the lens that we use to look at the world. Same thing with the idea of working hard to earn a living, right? I know that's something that a lot of people point to. You have to work, you have to get a job, you have to work hard in this life. But if being a fan of social media has taught me anything and reality TV and all that jazz, there are some people who don't have to work a day in their lives to have the most wonderful, luxurious lives imaginable. So clearly, work does not equal money, okay? That's another misconception, stereotype that's been programmed into our brains. And then the idea that money doesn't grow on trees. Well, duh, they don't grow on trees because paper money, right? Paper money is cotton, you guys. And I think cotton isn't a tree, right? It's like a bush or a plant. So this one's not accurate either. Money doesn't grow on trees. It comes out of a plant in a bush, right? So we know that that isn't true either. Okay? The problem is with these stereotypes is because they aren't always right. They don't apply 100% of the time. And when we default to using these beliefs, right, or operating in a worldview that uses these beliefs, we end up creating a limited view of the world and what's possible, and it blinds us from seeing abundance and opportunity. Just like that woman who was rushing down, in our example, rushing down the street, was unable to enjoy her morning, see that it was a beautiful day because of all the things, all the beliefs she had already walked out that front door believing in and holding on to, and wasn't willing to shift her focus to see what was in front of her, the beauty and the serenity that was around her. So these sorts of stereotypical stories and the neural pathway shortcuts that are created in our brain are what are often known as limiting beliefs. So you may have heard this term before, a limiting belief, right? These are the killers for your ability to manifest anything, including money. Now, when it comes to your limiting beliefs, we're going to switch to the conversation of your feelings about money, because that's where this is leading to us too. So the major problem with limiting beliefs is that they strongly affect your feelings about money, and the way you feel about money is the determining factor for your ability to manifest it. And that's because money isn't what you think it is, right? I would love for you right now to go ahead into the chat, or if you're someone who's watching this replay, and you're in the comments, go ahead and let me know what you think money is, okay? Let me know what you think money is. We'll take a little bit of a break. We'll wait for a second. I'll see what you guys think money is. We kind of already talked about money doesn't grow on trees, right? Doesn't grow on trees. It's a plant, cotton technically, so. And ink. Where does ink come from? Spices? I don't know. Where does that come from? Like ground up minerals? But I'd love to know. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee too, just to get a little extra perky here. Make sure you're giving this video a thumbs up if you're already enjoying this. I know we've already had a lot of activity going on in the comments, and I'm going to get to the comments throughout, but we'll do a Q&A at the end because I really want to get through this conversation, and I really want to get through this, the activities that we're going to do as well. Okay, so someone here says money is power. Money is freedom and security. Money is energy. Woohoo! I got a lot of people here who know what money is, who are on the right track. So Asia says money is what you earn by how hard you work. Okay, so we're gonna have some news for Asia's gonna have some light bulb moments in this workshop, isn't she, you guys? All right, because we've already explained that that's a stereotype about money. Okay. I'm going to go ahead because it looks like some of you do know, and some of you are probably going to have answers that are a little bit off. Oh, Christy's here. Hello, Christy. Money is independence. Susan says money is energy, and it's the value is your own lens. Faith says, I don't really believe this, but money is the root of all evil. Yuck. No, absolutely. That's a really powerful limiting belief that some people, like stereotype that people live with. Okay, so let me give you a little bit of a history on what money actually is, okay? So historically speaking, okay, at least in the US, I'm going to be talking about US here. Money is, and we're talking about the money, paper, cotton money here, bills, notes, as they're called, right? That we use in the US. And change. I just don't have any change with me. They were meant to be physical representations of gold, right? So instead of having pieces of gold that you would walk around with, gold bullion, pieces of gold that you'd need to be trading with people and weighing out, because it's a really hard way to trade and do finances, right? They came up with paper money that was supposed to represent an actual amount of gold that you had in this form of like a paper note, right? So for a period of time, you could trade in dollars and coins. Specifically, I looked this up, $20.67, okay, for an ounce of gold. That's what you do. You bring in $20.67 and they would give you an ounce of gold. Now, in the US specifically, again, we abandoned the gold standard ostensibly in the 1930s and formally eradicated it in the 1970s. So our paper money, our notes, our bills now are nothing but a construct of value. They're literally nothing. They are literally worth no more than the paper, the cotton, the ink that they're printed on. But they are a societal construct that has value because we agree that they have value. And the value of each bill, each coin, is quite literally a variable that changes with our economic markets. And quite literally, this means that money and the value of money is nothing but a thought or a feeling that people have, right? So it's not concrete at all anymore. It is literally like this $20 bill right now is worth a certain amount of money. It can buy me a certain amount of things. But tomorrow, the value of this money could change. People could decide, really spoke about money not being something concrete, that was something that was either energetic or a value, or honestly, the value that we applied to it, right? That's really what money is, right? Because it's not anything real when the value can change just because enough people have agreed that the value has changed, either lowered or raised in value, right? So it really is just a figment of somebody's imagination. Very unfortunate. It's a little bit of a scary thought, but it is the way it is, right? So money isn't real. It's completely a made up idea, and it only has value that people think or feel that it has, right? So I hope this part of the discussion didn't scare any of you. I know that it might seem scary that our financial sovereignty and solvency is all as real as, the paper money in a game of Monopoly. But because it isn't real, and because it quite literally is a made up game, it's actually really easy to manifest when you know the rules of the game. And like I said before, your feelings about money are the determining factor for how you will manifest money in your life. Because, spoiler alert, no matter if you are new to the concept of money manifestation or not, each of us is already manifesting our experience with money at this very moment. And we've been doing this our entire lives based on the way we think and feel about it. Okay? So this is not something where, maybe if you're someone who's completely new to this, you're thinking to yourself, I really want to get into this whole manifestation thing, right? Like, I want to learn how to manifest. Guess what? You've already been doing it. You just didn't know you were doing it. So you maybe haven't been doing it as intentionally and as accurately, and you haven't been probably getting the results that you want because you didn't know that you've always been doing it, right? So your relationship with money, that feeling you get about money, is based on your values and expectations. These values were programmed into you likely by the age of 7 or 8. This is what, early childhood psychologists pretty much have landed on, is that most of us, our values, especially about money, have been solidified into us by the age of 7, by your families and your communities during this period of life. So their expectations around money are now your expectations around money. So this is where that stereotype or limiting belief about money in terms of something like the rich get richer and the poor always getting poorer come in, right? Most of us are operating off of a program for manifesting money that we inherited, right? It's not even our own beliefs usually that form, our power to manifest, but they absolutely can be, right? So you can, create your own stereotypes as you age, but most likely, right, most of us into adulthood past the age of 7 will most likely be reinforcing the limiting beliefs and stereotypes that we were raised with, in part to the psychological tendency of confirmation bias. So here's more of that neurology, psychology, physiology information for you. Confirmation bias is the tendency of humans to erroneously look for evidence or gather information that supports things that we already believe to be true. So I find confirmation bias to be one of the most ironic side effects of our God-given ability to manifest, because on one hand, confirmation bias, to me, in my lens, proves that we were designed to manifest our realities, because our brains were literally designed to believe things that we already wanted to believe, right? So the things we already wanted to manifest, it was already designed into us that if we wanted something to be real, that we had the ability to just believe it was real until it did become real, right? But at the same time, that power is often corrupted and becomes a double-edged sword that keeps us manifesting negative beliefs as well. And I know it sucks, but from a scientific standpoint, knowing what we know about the human brain and its development and knowing what we know about the metaphysics of manifestation, obviously there is a way to overcome these beliefs and to manifest money, or else I wouldn't have created this workshop today, right? So no matter where you came from, what limiting beliefs you've been holding on to and developing over the years that you weren't even yours, they're likely somebody else's, that you've just been programmed to, and you've been using confirmation bias, that's not even your own fault, you're programmed to do it, you are living out the manifestation of other people's values and expectations around money. So we each have this money story that we've likely inherited with stereotypes that we've relied on as evidence to support those beliefs that become our limiting beliefs around money. But you can change the story and remove those limiting beliefs by identifying them and challenging them, right? So this is a very important part of the manifestation process, is to identify those limiting beliefs that are holding you back and to overcome them, right? To challenge them, to overcome them. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do today. I'm going to teach you the full money manifestation process that I like to use. And inside that process, there's a protocol for challenging, removing, and rewriting limiting beliefs. As we remove the limiting beliefs, we will each reach newer and newer, higher and higher levels in our ability to manifest money. And I want you to remember that point, that this process is about newer and newer and higher levels. It's not a Band-Aid fix. It is a slow and steady progress upwards. Because I personally believe that one of the reasons that people often get exasperated with the concept of money manifestation and may believe that it's complete BS is because they don't realize that it's a process that involves layers of belief, right? It's layers of neural pathways that need to be challenged one by one. And it's not like you can do one round of manifestation techniques and become a millionaire overnight. Yes, I do believe that it is technically possible to do that, right? Because there are people who do become millionaires overnight. It is possible to get everything wiped out overnight and manifest a tremendous sum of money. But it's not likely because of the way the human brain develops. It's incredibly hard, right? Knowing what we know about neural pathways, how they operate, how they're developed, how they change. We know that it's layers that you need to remove, kind of like moving the layers of an onion, right? I was thinking about using like a Shrek analogy here, like onions have layers. Then everybody likes parfait, right? But I think you guys get the idea that these limiting beliefs form layers in our brain that we need to address one by one and override one by one. And that's why I think a lot of people are like, ugh, manifestation, that's such BS, right? I tried it, totally didn't work, right? Because it actually is a lot of work. It's a lot of addressing and overcoming and rewriting neural pathways and neural programs in your mind, right? But it does work. It's work, but it does work. So make no mistake about this. Manifestation is a default human ability, like breathing, or like your heart pumping blood through your veins. And because of that, your manifestation abilities are programmed into your physiology. We already kind of talked about that. It's programmed into your physiology. Confirmation bias is just one of the scientific principles that I see as being confirmation that we are supposed to be manifesting. So the thing about neural pathways, right, is that they never go away. So the neural pathways that are associated with manifesting the lower levels of money, those limiting beliefs, right? They never leave you completely. But you can create new neural pathways like detours in your brain around those older neural pathways. And as long as you remain conscious and intentional and in control of your thoughts and feelings, then you can strengthen the new neural pathways so that they seriously begin to challenge the old ones. So that will make you progressively better and better at manifesting larger and larger sums of money. But it is a process of newer and higher levels that you can take on one step at a time. Okay, it's not just a Band-Aid. It's not an overnight fix. So in fact, one of the activities that we're going to do today as part of the workshop speaks to the concept of the level that you're at when it comes to manifesting money. This is what's known as energetic minimums and maximums. So if you're familiar with money manifestation, you might be familiar with those terms, right? So each of us are in a default manifestation level right now with our own personal energetic minimums and maximums, meaning that we're comfortable or have fallen into the pattern of expecting a minimum amount of money in our life and a maximum amount of money in our life. And that's the level that we remain at, right? So a great example of this would be if you have a job and you specifically are someone who has a certain salary every week, let's say, right? And you've reached a point where you have set an energetic maximum. It's likely that it's going to be in line with what your pay is for the month, right? So a lot of people have like 9-to-5 job salaries, right? It's likely that your minimums and maximums, that level that you're at, is going to be in line with what your salary is, right? And of course, if you have like a spouse or other people in your home or whatever that contribute to the pot, right? Then your minimums and maximums might be a little bit higher. But generally speaking, we all only expect to be making every month what our salary is, right? So that is an example of an energetic minimum maximum, but we know, right? Because your salary is not the only way that you can make money. A lot of people do earn money other ways: side jobs, win money, inherit money, find money on the street, etc. There's other ways to get money, and not just money, but abundance, right? There's other ways that we experience abundance outside of just money as well. So when people begin to want more money and they want to get a raise, for example, so let's say you're someone with a 9-to-5 job, you have this salary, this is what you can expect every week or every month or every year or whatnot. Let's say you want the raise, or you want a promotion, or you want to find a new job or a new career that pays more. That process, right, actually requires you to fight head on with your energetic minimums and maximums that are in your body for how much you are, and in your mind for how much you believe you are capable of bringing in and earning and attracting. So the people who can tackle and that process, right, of getting their limiting beliefs and peeling them back one by one and overcoming them, and they win that process, right? The people who know that they're worth more money and are willing to ask for that raise or to step up for that promotion or are willing to take the risk for a new job, they're the ones who break the energetic barrier and shift their minimums and maximums so that they can then get the new job, they get the promotion, they get the new career, whatnot. And the people who can't, right, the people who are too afraid to ask, the people who don't want to ask their boss for more money, the people who aren't confident enough to talk to, HR about that open position, or they're too timid to take the risk to go for a new job or a new career because there's a lot of risk there, they stay boxed into their minimum and maximum and don't see any progress, right? So there's a reason why some people progress, because they're able to tackle and overcome their limiting beliefs. And there's a reason why other people stay stuck where they're at, because they're boxed into these barriers, these energetic barriers, these minimums and maximums that they are in their mind. They've created this barrier that this is how much I am allowed to make. Okay, so that's an example of how that works. So it's very important that you understand that this is a process and that there are layers to this and that there is work involved. It's not magic. It's metaphysics, okay? It is hard. You can do it once and then struggle to do it a second time. There is science in this. It's not make-believe. And if you are in a place where you're open to this information and willing to do the work, you can absolutely be successful with it. So if you're ready, let's continue to the manifestation process. We'll talk about the actual process of manifesting money. Okay. So in terms of the process, first I want to lay out the steps of the process. It's just 4 steps. And then I want to walk you through the activities that I've put together to help you through each of the steps of the process. So there are actual techniques that go into each process that we're going to do, each step of this process that we're going to do. There are some techniques, activities that we can do to tackle things head on, right? To do the work, to raise our energetic minimums and maximums so that we can receive more. Now, keep in mind, I'm going to be sharing with you a selection of activities and techniques that I personally find to be effective, but there are other strategies that are out there for sure. So if you have some experience with this, I'm not here to override anything that you've been taught in the past or anything you've used in the past. If you have questions about other strategies or the mechanics of this as we go through, absolutely let me know. And if you're here with me live, I'm more than happy to explain things for you and to give you my take. But just know that the strategies that I'm choosing to share are ones that I've personally had success with and I have experience with, and I've sufficiently studied so that I feel confident that you too can find success with them. So let's go ahead, and you may want to write this down. the 4-step manifestation process. I want to give you the whole process, and then we're going to get into an overview and walk through each process and talk about how it works and talk about the techniques, and we're actually going to do activities together, okay? Sound fun? If anyone here has joined me recently, welcome. Please make sure to give this video a thumbs up and feel free to share it, because sharing is caring. Okay, so the first step of the manifestation process, write this down, is decide what you want, okay? So the universe cannot bring anything to you until you have decided what it is that you want. And I think there's this quote that I've heard before that says that once you decide what you want, all the universe conspires to bring it to you, okay? And that's absolutely true. Once you've decided where you want to go, you are programmed, your body is programmed to get you to get what you want. You're programmed for that neurologically. It's in your body to do this. So step 1, decide what you want. Step 2 is to identify and replace the limiting beliefs you have about money. So step 1 is the fun part, actually deciding what it is that you want. Step 2 is where we get into work, okay? Where we have to identify, replace, overcome the limiting beliefs we have around money. Step 3 is to raise your vibration to feel abundant. And I realize that for some of you watching this, that might be like, huh, what does that mean? I'll explain it to you. It is much easier than you think it is. It's much less complicated. Very actually scientific, actually. And I'll give you some examples of how it's scientific. And then step 4 is to hold space for the manifestation to arrive, right? So you actually have to wait for the thing to come, right? It doesn't happen instantly. And if I forget to tell you this, someone remind me in the comments. I don't want to talk about it now, but remind me to explain to you why you do not want instant manifestation, why it's important for us to wait, okay? Someone remind me if I don't say it. Now, do keep in mind as well that this process isn't simply follow step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and voila, you are done, right? For each manifestation that you will do, everything that you decide that you want, you will likely do step 1 once, right? You only want to do that once. And then you'll probably bounce between step 2 and step 3 a few times, right? You may go back and forth because what may likely happen, right, is that you're going to realize as you go through the process that you have, you may start with some limiting beliefs and then find more as you go. So you may bounce between 2 and 3. You may bounce between 2 and 3 a few times. And then you will have to wait for step 4. That's the waiting period, right? And honestly, doing the work a lot of times shortens that process of waiting. But it's no way set in stone, how quickly things are going to manifest, right? Time is a construct. It is an illusion. But just the quicker you can work through step 2 and step 3 and get yourself free of limiting beliefs, the quicker your manifestation can come to you, okay? Now, let's see. What are we doing next? Let's see. We're going to go ahead and go through the activity. So I'm going to go real quick, and I have to switch to the overhead view. Here we go. Oh, I have so many things right in front of me. Let's get this moving here. I've got some money. I have some examples of money for you guys. Okay, let's move this out of the way. And you guys want to still see my face? Let's see. Can I? I know I can. Let's not do it that way. Well, no, we can just do let's do a, no, this one. Sorry, I didn't have this set up already for myself. No, wrong one. Oh, here it is. I like the round one. Okay. And I think, where should we put me? Let's put me up here so that I'm like watching over you guys, right? I'm watching over as we manifest here. And you are going to be a little bit upside down as we go through this. Okay. So this is the part of our chat today where we're going to actually do some wonderful activities that I've put together for you. So I have actually created a money manifestation techniques activity workbook. If you go into the comments, the description of this video, you will see a link where you can purchase this activity workbook. However, before you purchase it, I have a coupon code for you to use Where is it? Come on. There it is. Okay. So use the code manifest money for 33% off the workbook. Okay. So as with my previous workshop that I did, do you need this to do these activities? No, you don't. I've designed this workshop. If this is not for you right now, no problemo, right? But if you are someone who is going through this workshop with me and was like, darn, I really like those worksheets. I want this whole workbook, right? Then you absolutely have access to it. You can purchase it in my shop. The link is below. I have a coupon code for you guys, for those of you who are here with me live, so that you can take advantage of this, a little sale for you guys, and we're good to go. So the first thing that we are going to do, okay, this, as you can see, this is a pretty thick workbook, is we're going to talk about the first step of the manifestation process, which is to decide what you want. And for that, sorry, I didn't make this into a book. I just had it printed out. So I'm just going to put things over there. Okay. So activity 1 is all about what I call abundance budgeting. Okay. And here is the sheet we're going to use for this. And this workbook actually comes with sheets that are dated for every month, but then it also comes with a blank one, just because I know most people budget on a monthly basis, but some people might do it quarterly or whatnot, depending on how many complicated things they've got going on, what they choose to do. So we are going to go ahead and walk through this abundance budgeting worksheet right now. Okay, so here's some factoids for you. Did you know that half of the families in the US live paycheck to paycheck? So if this is you, this is a completely normal phenomenon, right? It's a regular phenomenon. Is it the greatest thing in the world? Absolutely not. I've definitely been there myself, where I have struggled with money, where I've lived paycheck to paycheck, where it was like, am I going to be able to make ends meet from month to month, right? And living in this feeling, again, this feeling of barely making ends meet is a terrible way to live, right? So we really want to work our way out of this. So to combat this, right? A lot of people who struggle with money use a budget. It's a very common tool, and I think it's awesome. But even if you're not somebody who necessarily uses a budget, I think that if you're trying to intentionally manifest money, that you should be aware of the money that you have coming in and going out every month. So whether or not you're somebody who actually does budget as part of their financial needs, or if you're somebody who's just looking to manifest money, having an abundance budget, I think, is a great step to take with this. Now, a budgeting sheet, I know you may not think about it this way, but I actually think that a budgeting sheet, right, or having a budget, whatever you use, right, it may not be a paper one like this, it might be one on the computer, whatever, an application, whatnot. I think it could be a great tool for manifestation, because you are literally listing out everything intentionally that you need money for, right? So you're actually saying, like, I need to pay for my car, I need to pay for my house, I need to pay for clothes, food, all this stuff, right? That is manifesting. You are telling the universe exactly what you need money for. But the one thing that I think that people run into trouble when it comes to budgeting is that they see the budget and they stick really tightly to the budget, right? To the point where it's like they become stressed out about it, right? Like they feel like, oh, I absolutely have to stay within this budget. That's it. Like I cannot go off. I cannot spend one dime over my food budget, etc., or else I'm in trouble. And if you're in that mentality, what you're doing is, again, you are still manifesting. But what you're doing is you are manifesting to the universe not to give you any more than exactly what is written in your budget. So I think that it's actually a best practice when you're doing your budgeting to put in things in your budget, expenses that are things that you just want to manifest. Even if you know realistically, right, that your known or anticipated income isn't going to cover an expense. Now, it doesn't mean you just go out and buy whatever the thing is. Let's say you're like, oh, you know what I really need? I really need new tires for my car, but I cannot afford them this month, right? You think, oh, I can't afford them, like they're too much. I have to save up for them, right? Put them on your budget anyway and leave the universe open to finding a way to get you those new tires, right? Maybe it'll be delivery in terms of a raise at work. Maybe it will be a birthday check that's way bigger than you thought from grandma. Thanks so much for that one. You know what I mean? Maybe it's some sort of inheritance payout or some legal check or something. You won a settlement. Maybe your friend buys you a scratch off ticket and you win a few $100s. You have no clue how that money's going to come in. And it is none of your business, okay? Frankly, to worry about how that money's going to come in, right? Because this is a gift from the universe. The universe is going to provide it for you. It's kind of rude, right? To like ask somebody who's buying you a present, like, hey, how are you paying for this? Like, can you afford this? You know what I mean? So don't worry about it, right? Have your budget with what you're anticipated, right? What you anticipate your income's going to be and what you anticipate your expenses are going to be, but then also list out on your budget what it is that you need. Some extra things. You're like, I really need this. This has to happen. The universe, you have to deliver me 4 new, all-weather terrain tires and or the money for it, right? However they come to you, because who knows? Maybe something that happens that month is that somebody gets into a car accident. Like your friend gets into a car accident. Their car is totaled, right? It's going to be junked. And they're like, oh, I just 2 months ago put new tires on this car. And you're like, whoa, which kind of tires? And can I get those off you? And they're like, yeah, take them. They've already, they've already paid me. The insurance company's already paid me for the car and it's going straight to a junkyard. Let's take the wheels off and I'll give them to you, right? And bada bing, bada boom, you now have the tires that you wanted, right? So it really is not your business how you get the thing that you want. Don't always look at manifesting in terms of money that you want to manifest, right? Because I do think that just saying, I would like $1 million is harder to manifest than saying, I want this $1 million house, right? You may think that because the value equivalency is there, right? That it's going to be the same, but actually there are so many more ways that the universe nowadays can deliver you the actual outcome of what you want versus the money. It's easier for the universe to deliver you the outcome. So try to focus on the outcomes. And that's why I really think that budgeting is actually a great thing to do. You just want to stay out of that trap of thinking, I'm only writing down exactly what I need, no extras. I will not go a penny outside of my budget because that is an energy of lack, right? That is an energy of stress and worry. And what you're saying to the universe is, I am so stressed out. If you give me any more than 1 penny more than this, I am going to lose it, universe. Like I cannot handle it. That's what you're telling the universe. Okay. So we want to ease up, right? We want to ease up about it. We want to write some things like a wish list onto our budget that we're not going to run out and put them on our credit cards, right? We're not going to make foolish decisions with our money because if I know anything about money, money does not like to get into the hands of someone who does foolish things with it. But nothing stops you from putting it on the list and saying, well, if something happens and a few nights this week, I, go out with some, I go to dinner at my friend's house and it saves me money on, food. And then I got some extra money and I can go take myself to Sephora. Bada bing, bada boom, you've solved your own problems there, right? So be open to the opportunities. Actually add like a wish list onto your budget. And it's funny, I've actually watched a lot of different, even though I'm not someone who normally budgets myself, because I'm just not, I think there are people who need to budget, right? Because you haven't been great with money in the past. And that has been me, right? Like if you are someone who is like, I have been very untrustworthy with money in the past. I have made foolish decisions with my money. And you are like, I need to stick to a budget because I don't have self-control, stick to your budget. I totally get that, right? There's nothing wrong with that, okay? But there's also nothing wrong with adding things. Was that where I was going with that? I kind of just totally lost where I was going with that train of thought. Let's take a sip of some water. So I'm not normally someone who budgets. I have had to do it in the past, but actually physically writing down what it is that you need, right? Money-wise, right? What you expect and anticipate money-wise. It's great. Awesome. Great way to actually manifest. Okay. So on this abundance budget that I have created here, hopefully you guys can read it. I can't really bring it up higher because it will likely go out of focus. No, I think that's in focus. It's just, I've got a small heading here. I'll walk you through what it says. Up here, this is just a nice simple template here. It says income sources, expenditures, and desired manifestations. So the way I do, I know what I was going to say. Although I'm not somebody who budgets here, we're going to go back to what I missed, the train. I found the train, picked up the train. Although I'm not someone who normally budgets, I like to watch budgeting videos on YouTube. And you know what I notice about this that I really think like is evidence to support my conjecture here is that there are a lot of people who, when I watch their budgeting videos, they will put other things on their budget. Like, let's say they need the new tires, right? And they're like, look, I don't necessarily have the money for this, but I want to make sure I have it marked off, because if for whatever reason something happens and I went over with my food budget or something happens, like, I get extra money or I find money, or, something happens, or, maybe one of the things I've got, sitting in my closet, maybe is on eBay or whatever, it sells, then I know where I'm putting that money to. I know where I'm allocating the money that I get, right? And I find that those people, when I watch their budgeting videos, like month over month, they're the ones who do really great with their money. Like, they're the ones who are like paying off their bills, paying down their debt, taking care of their lives, being able to get those extras that they need. And I think it's because they add the extra money. I think it's because they add the extra items in, even though it's not part of what they expect that they're going to be able to pay for based on past, paychecks and stuff. I think it's a great thing to do. So the way I like to do my budgets, I like have everything in one row. Income sources, expenditures, desire manifestations. So you'll go ahead and you'll write things out, right? So you might write mortgage, right? I don't actually know how to spell mortgage. Is there mortgage? And you could say your mortgage is, I don't know, $2,000 a month, right? And when is it due? So what, day of it, you have to pay the payment, and that is money that's going to go out, right? So you're going to mark it there. And then, I have a little checkbox here for when you've actually made the payment, right? So you can keep track of what's finished and what's not. And then you could say, let's see, I also have, let's say your like job salary, right? Salary for 2 weeks, right? 2 weeks of salary, right? And you could put the date range in if you wanted to there. And your salary for 2 weeks is maybe $2,500. And what's the date of that pay? I don't know. Maybe you get paid on Friday. Today's a Friday. And that's money in. Okay. And then once you've seen it come through, check it off, right? So you can put normal things in and out. And then you've got at the bottom down here, there's some total lines that you can do. I've got monthly income, monthly expenses, monthly savings, right? And then your total, right? So you can see what you had in, what you had out, what you went to savings, because I think it is important, even though some people treat savings as an expenditure, but I think, being able to see that amount of money, how much you've saved, I think that's a great way to manifest as well. And then your total, right? So if you're in the clear, in the red, or in the black, right? Are you doing good or are you not doing good, right? You'll be able to see if you went over budget, under budget, etc. But of course, what we're also going to be able to do within the lines, right? And you could split this up if you wanted to, right? You could be like, my normal expenses and stuff up here. And then you could draw a line and be like, okay, these are some things I'd like to manifest. I would like to manifest, oh goodness, what is that? The Pat McGrath. What is that? The HD foundation. Is that the new foundation from Pat McGrath? That's like, I don't know, like $80 at Sephora. I don't know. Maybe if I had an extra $80, I would like to buy that. Thank you, universe. And that would be money going out, right? And then if you get it, you could check it off if you get the extra money for it, right? So, lotto ticket winnings. I mean, you could track things on here, as you got other money, right? So we're not going to say that we necessarily got a lotto ticket win, but you could definitely track that. You'd want to track that here if you got it, right? So I think that having a budget, using a budget is a great way if you're somebody who struggles with money, is like most of the country, at least half the country, paycheck to paycheck. This is a great way to actually keep yourself in line with your financial goals as well as manifest at the same time. This is your deciding what it is that you want, right? Deciding what it is that you need. You're deciding it, you're codifying it, you're writing it down. You have things to look forward to, right? And as the money comes in, new money comes in, unexpected things come in, you can keep track of them, right? As well here on this budgeting form. And if you're someone who's not into budgeting necessarily like me, I still think it's good to have a high level view of money going in, money going out, right? Maybe you don't need to track every little teeny tiny thing like me. Like there's so many things that just auto pay. Like I wouldn't be writing everything down, but I do like to track how much money is coming in, right, from my income sources. And I like to make sure, I know I have to make sure that I have a few bills that I have to personally go in and pay manually. So that might be something that would be on my particular budget. And then I would also have that section for all the things that I would like to manifest with the money that the universe is going to bring with me, to either the money that I'm going to get from the universe, or it's just going to bring me those things that I want, right? So like, who knows, maybe Pat McGrath sees this video and is like, let's send Alexis a foundation, what is her color? Who knows? Reach out to me, Pat McGrath, if you want to send me a foundation, right? So, okay, so that is activity number 1. That is process number 1, deciding what it is that you want. Does anyone have any questions about that? Let's see. Oh, someone's talking. Christy's talking about something happened with the dollar. What happened with the dollar? Maybe you're talking about like the value went up on the dollar and you said something was cool. Okay, cool. So if you guys don't have any questions, I know that there's going to be a little bit of a default, but not a default, a delay. But let's go ahead and move on to step 2 of the process, which is to identify and replace limiting beliefs around money. Okay. So what are we going to do with this? Activity number 2 is raising my energetic income level. Okay. So like I said, that idea of raising that income level so that you can openly, with open arms to the universe, take in more abundance that it's offering for you. So what we're going to do for this is we are going to actually formally adjust our energetic income level, right? And we are going to go ahead and tackle limiting beliefs head on. And this is where I'm going to want you guys to hopefully give me some examples of limiting beliefs that you guys are facing as we're doing this, so that I can help you overcome them, right? Because I would love to be able to do that with you if you're someone who's struggling with any of these limiting beliefs. Okay. Oh, Christy said that she manifested something I wanted to the dollar amount I'd thought of. I mean, Christy, I do this too. The funny thing is, you'd think that I would do this more often. Like, this is the thing where people are like, manifestation isn't real, right? Because I'm not manifesting $1 million. When I actually intentionally sit down and do this stuff, it actually works, It's kind of like how miraculous it seems when you like actually stick to a diet or exercise plan and then you start looking better. You're like, wow, how did that happen? Oh, wait, I actually stuck to the thing I was supposed to do. That's how we get results, right? So I really do believe that this stuff works. Like I know it works, right? And I know that there's work involved in it. And that's why sometimes we get lazy, we get preoccupied, our lens of the world is focused on other things, and it's easy to step out of this. So hopefully this process, like solidifying this process for you and these activities, help you see the process a little clearer and help you overcome it a little easier and show you what you really need to be focusing on, right? Yeah, it's so funny. Why don't you ask for more? Okay, I will. That's what you have to, it's practice. You have to practice. Sometimes not feeling like you don't want to ask for more is a limiting belief in and of itself. Maybe we should get into that. Okay. So this is what we're going to do around this energetic income level. Okay. So I've got just a few little points for you to fill in first. In the past, I was confident that my income would be at least blank amount of money per month, right? So this is where that idea of someone who might be a salaried employee or someone who works hourly, and that like, usually unless there was something really major going wrong, your income is always this amount of money per month, right? So we're going to go ahead and just write in something here. So I'll just say $5,000. In the past, I was confident that my income would be at least $5,000 a month. In the past, I felt that I could not expect to receive greater than blank per month. So for a lot of people, if you're somebody who is salaried, right? You likely aren't thinking beyond that $5,000, right? So this is how you would be filling this out, right? So you might actually put that salaried amount, that amount that you get, right? And maybe you're like some people who work, with the pay periods. Sometimes you get 3 paychecks in a month, right? So that maybe like on a good month, Maybe your pay would be like, I don't know, I'm guessing here, 5,800. I have no clue. But yeah, maybe that would be, so this would be your energetic minimum and maximum. So look how I have worded this. In the past, I was confident that my income would be at least blank, right? When you have a job, when you know where your money is coming from, you begin to feel comfortable that this is the amount of money I'm allowed to receive. Conversely, in the past, I felt that I could not expect to receive greater than blank. This is the amount of money maximum that I would get in a month, right? Like, there's really no way for me to get more than that unless something crazy happened and I got a raise, right? But for most of us, we know when the months are that we would be eligible for a raise. Like maybe it's around annual review time or mid-year review time or whatnot, or bonus time, whatnot. So we get comfortable living within a range, right? But we're actually going to have to consciously change that. So the next two lines here, from today onward, I am no longer available to receive any less than blank per month. So what is your new energetic minimum going to be? Well, what do you want to say? How much do you want to dare, right? And like I said, you don't want to write down $1 million here. You can if you really feel confident. Like you're just going to have, what's going to end up happening here is because we're on step 2 here. Likely for many of you, if you're going from the $5,000 to $6,000 a month range to say that you're going to go to, what is $1 million a year? Like $80,000 a month? Something like that. That's a big leap, right? So you're likely going to be jumping between step 2 and step 3 for a while, holding space for that manifestation to come in, right? So what do you think where do you feel like you're daring a little bit? Would it be daring to say, I want to say that my new minimum is 6,000, right? That's now I'm no longer available for any less than 6,000. And you know what? I would be fine with maybe receiving 8,000, right? And these are maybe relatively small gaps between the minimum and the maximum. But depending on what you do, I'm thinking back to like when I worked, in an office job, right? Like where my energetic minimums and maximum will be. Obviously, since I run my own business now, I could go from a certain amount to like way more, right? I could double or triple my income from month to month because I work for myself and I have a lot of flexibility with that. So this is just an example that I think might be relevant for, many of you. But do what actually applies, right? And I want to see what we got going on here in the comments. Oh, someone gave me. Oh. Someone gave me a good limiting belief. Oh, come on. Can I go up? There we go. Okay, let's see. I just see a lot of chatter in here. It's awesome. No, it doesn't look like any questions. So I'm just going to keep going on here and I'm going to borrow that limiting belief that someone has already given me. Okay. So once you have set that new energetic minimum and maximum, right? You may be experiencing a mixed blend of excitement and delight and utter terror. Okay, right? Let's be honest here, right? Because you are like, oh shit, I just set my minimum at 6,000, but I know my income every month maxes out at 5,800. What the heck am I doing? I'm living on the edge. When that happens, take a pause. Listen to the thoughts in your mind. There's going to be a limiting belief that's popping up in there. Okay, there's a belief that's popping up. And the first belief I want to start with is actually relevant to this example that we're doing, which is, I can't make more money than my salary, right? That's a limiting belief. I can't make more money than my salary. Alexis, how am I going to get a minimum of 6,000 if I only make 5,800 and that's twice a year, when I get the 3 paycheck month? How is this going to happen? Oh yeah, that's totally wrong. 50. It would be much more than that if 3 paycheck. Okay, because that's like 2,500. Alexis, come on. Okay, don't worry. We're leaving it at that for now. Okay, we're leaving it at this one for now. But now I've realized that would be 25 per pay period, which would mean that it should be like 75 if it was a 3 pay period. My bad. Okay. So the limiting belief there would be, I can't make more than my salary, right? Alexis, doesn't make any sense, right? And I'm not up for a promotion right now. How can I make more than my salary? Well, what I need you to do right now is to tackle that limiting belief, challenge it with actual evidence, because this right here, this limiting belief is just a stereotype. It's something that enough times has been true, and so you're just programmed to think it's true. And the only way that we can start rewriting the new neural pathway is to actually tackle this, challenge this, change this idea by giving new evidence. So provide at least one piece of evidence suggesting that this belief, this stereotype, is not true. So what you could say is, let's see, what could we say? I would love it if you guys would give me an example, but I think I'm going to come up with something right now. Okay, so I can't make more than my salary. This is untrue because I can win the lottery, right? I can win the lottery. I could find money on the street. Don't you guys love how terrible my handwriting is? Right? And I said only one, at least one piece, okay? I can win money. I could win the lottery. I could find money on the street. I could, take a side job, like a temporary side job. Like, let's say you could do Uber, right? Or maybe someone's going away, you pet sit somebody's pets for them, etc., right? So there are many ways that you could actually suddenly make up the difference to what your new energetic minimum is to get you into this new range, right? You need to start believing that this evidence is, honestly, when you look at this, these two things are just as true. It is just as likely that you couldn't make more than your salary in a month as it is that you could suddenly get a windfall of money, right? Suddenly, you didn't even know. Does anyone else get emails all the time? I get emails all the time from like legal companies about Amazon, any place where I've bought books online, Amazon, Kindle, Kobo. I have Apple's iBooks that's like, Alexis, you bought books during this period of time, and now here is your part of the settlement, $3. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I don't know what this was for or whatnot, right? But this can happen, right? We know that things like this could happen, that you could suddenly just get some sort of money. And in this day and age, so many of us are doing lots of different things online, right? I could take someone like Christy, for example. I believe Christy works a job, right? I don't know if it's a 9-to-5 job, but then she's also a writer, right? So she has likely more than one stream of income. And I believe she's also said something about a husband in there. So she also has a husband. So technically, like, your husband could get a raise at work or get a new job, or I don't know what your husband does. Maybe he gets a new client and gets a bonus, right? Like, there are so many different ways that new money could come in, right? So technically, your limiting belief is just as true as any of the pieces of evidence that you could write here in terms of what is possible in the universe, right? So we want to start feeling like this evidence is more important, right? So we want to start thinking about this. Now, the third thing we're going to do here in order to help retrain and reprogram our minds is to get an affirmation that supports your new belief, right? And actually, inside of this workbook, you will find I actually have a list of 50 affirmations about money. So I'm going to go down this affirmation list, and I'm going to try to find one that supports this scenario real quick. I know that we do. I know that there's one. I'm trying to think about, hold on. Here we go. This is the one I want to write. Okay. I am always surprised by the different ways I receive in abundance of money, right? I am always surprised. The universe is always keeping me on my toes, right? Like, I'm always surprised about the way I am receiving money. Like, geez, this universe just throwing money at me, right? So that is an affirmation that you can use now that supports your new belief. So what you're going to want to do here, right, is Start using this affirmation. You've listed it out, right? This is your game plan for any time you start feeling or thinking or acting like the limiting belief is true. You immediately want to start training yourself to go to this affirmation, right? So this is your assigned affirmation. This is the only affirmation you could use, right? But the idea here is that you're going to be filling up likely, and you could obviously, if you have this, you could print more of these pages up if you want more space for these limiting beliefs. But, you are going to probably start off with a couple of specific limiting beliefs that you are going to need to provide evidence for, and then I would suggest finding an affirmation that really directly speaks to the challenge and the reality of the situation here. So the reality is that, let me tell you, if you did get the extra money here to make it to $8,000 in a month, wouldn't you be surprised? Yeah, you would be surprised, wouldn't you? So let our affirmation be every time we feel like, how can I possibly make more money? Every time your brain goes to that part of the neural pathway, you need to trigger yourself to say, I'm always surprised by the different ways I receive an abundance of money. And I always recommend when you're doing these, the thing when it comes to using affirmations is, yes, you can put them all over on sticky notes. Yes, you can, say them to yourself while you're brushing your teeth, whatnot. The thing is that you want to actually spend at least 2 minutes thinking about this, right? So you want to actually sit up straight or stand up straight. I recommend getting into something like that Superman pose, like your boss bitch pose or something like that, and be like, I am always surprised. And smile. You have to smile too, because neurologically, your brain, when you smile, activates the part of your mind that's all about that's all about your thoughts and your positive thoughts and feelings and things like that. Hold on, no, we're good. Okay. Just wanted to check something. I thought I was getting a notification. Nope. I don't think so. Okay. So let's take a quick break for a second. Oh goodness, what happened over here? I don't know what that was. Hopefully the dogs don't get rattled. Okay. Okay. So, we are going to stand, right? And I know you guys can't really see me. Let me switch back to my normal camera so you guys can kind of see me. Oh, let's take this off for now. Where is that? There we are. Okay. We're going to sit or stand. We're going to smile, because smiling activates the part of your neural net. Like, you want to actually feel like you're smiling, like the whole like crow's feet going in your eyes smile, right? Not like a fake smile. Really smiling, because this is activating the part of your neural net that's actually programmed for happiness, right? You're going to stand here or sit here, back straight, thinking, I'm always surprised by I'm always surprised by the different ways I receive an abundance of money. I'm always surprised by the different ways I receive an abundance of money. I am always surprised by the different ways I receive an abundance of money. And we're going to do this over and over again for 2 minutes. And eventually what you're going to find is going to happen is you're actually going to start feeling really freaking awesome, right? After 2 minutes, it takes 2 minutes, because what 2 minutes takes 2 minutes for whatever your existing energetic vibration is, to this smiling and this standing here and this pose and that belief to activate your brain to start creating a neural pathway that is associated with that thought and this feeling and this happiness, right? And what's going to happen is your brain is going to start releasing dopamine, and it's going to drug you up a little bit on happiness hormones, and it is literally reprogramming your brain to associate positive thoughts and feelings around the new affirmation, okay? So this is how we're going to use this, okay? Very, very important. Or another way you can use affirmations, do I talk about this in the next section? I forget. No, I don't think I do. I think I talk about it later on in some tips, but you can also use this an affirmation at bedtime, right? So the best time to use an affirmation is at bedtime when you're getting sleepy or getting drowsy because you are in the theta brain state. And that is the brain state that accesses your subconscious mind and actually is where you can really deeply reprogram yourself if necessary, right? So you can really deeply reprogram old thoughts and beliefs with new thoughts and beliefs, right? So at night, you could also keep like a little sticky note or something by your bed. And while you're laying in bed, as you're drifting off to sleep, you could put on like a brainwave meditation, or you could just sit there and close your eyes, relax, breathe deeply, and start saying this again. Smile too. The smiling really helps. It helps. It helps activate the dopamine receptors in your brain because most people are already wired to smile when they're happy, so it works backwards. Okay, so you could do this in bed too at night. So that is how you're going to use these affirmations, okay? Let's go back to me in the crystal. No, we're not in the crystal ball. We're in the overhead. Silly me. Okay, so we're in the overhead again. So that is what we're going to do. And I said I saw a limiting belief that I wanted to adjust, right? For someone. Plan, heal, and be merry. Let me see if I can add this to the broadcast. It says, oh, excellent, excellent, excellent. Okay. Working on, yeah, this was it. Working on paying off debt, limiting belief would be the amount owed is so large, it seems like I will never see the light at the end of the tunnel. Now, I'm going to make a few assumptions here, which is that the debt is either for school. Sorry if I just hit the microphone there. Is either a school-related expense or was something where you really needed money and you needed to take out money for it, right? So I'm hoping it was for something positive, right? So I want you to think about the fact that debt isn't a bad thing, okay? And this is something that I know feels counterintuitive to many of us. I only really know this firsthand by having a father who fancies himself to be a day trader, okay? And my father is very involved with like investment properties and he plays the stock market like a freaking, you'd think he was like an extra on, Wall Street or something like that, like one of those movies. But carrying debt isn't actually a problem. It isn't a problem. A lot of times debt is a reflection of some very good things, right? So like I own a home, right? This is debt. I have a mortgage debt, right? Is that a bad thing? No, I have a beautiful freaking house, right? I have a best friend who unfortunately has a tremendous amount of school debt. But this girl is a doctor, okay? She's a doctor. I know what her salary is. Like she recently had gotten a new job and is making tremendously more. And this company paid her a tremendous amount of money to move across the country, right? They gave her a huge sign-on bonus, paid for her to move, all this stuff. She's got this huge new, like making so much more money. It's so funny because we actually kind of like went through these sorts of limiting belief things with her while she was interviewing with new companies. And she carries a tremendous amount of debt. Like she has a debt that is for student loans that is larger than my house. I make a joke with her. I'm like, oh my God, you could have more than my house. Like you have more than my house in student debt. And she's like, yep. And it makes her overwhelmed, right? But I have to always remind her, and she's very good at also kind of reminding herself, and she is paying down her debt as much as she can, right? That this is for a very good reason. And debt isn't bad. It really isn't bad. It can be a very good thing to have debt, right? Not that, I know we don't think about it that way, but debt really just means that we have made a choice, right? To use money, to get a large sum of money for something that was important to us, right? Whether that was to pay down medical bills, which is the reality for a lot of people, whether it's to go to school, which is so many people, to buy a home, to buy cars, things that are necessary, right? There are very few instances, I think, where people are like bogged down with a tremendous amount of debt that's really unnecessary, right? There is a lot of credit card debt that floats around in the US. And I know that that's less than ideal, but you got to remember, you wanted those things in the moment. It was a choice in the moment. You need to let go of any shame around it because the past is in the past. There's nothing you can do about it. And the most that you can do is to just move forward and accept it and be glad that it's not something you have to just owe back at one piece, right? Luckily, a lot of times debt, you have manageable chunks, right? That you are supposed to be paying over time, right? So there's nothing wrong with that. It means that you can afford something wonderful right now, an education, a home, a vehicle that you wouldn't have been able to have any other way, right? So the limiting belief is that it feels so large that you may not ever be able to pay it on. There's no end of the tunnel. And so what I would say you could do is your evidence, like everything I just said was evidence, right? That you don't have to worry about the debt, right? So let's think of an affirmation. Oh, I like this one. Hold on. Let's think of an affirmation. Just want to check to make sure there's nothing greater than that. I kind of love this one right now. Okay. So something I would say about debt, right? Here's an affirmation that you might want to use around debt. Money is a wonderful tool I use to create the ideal life for myself and others. So money is a wonderful tool I use to create the ideal life for myself and others. Because a lot of times when we take on debt, that's what we're doing. We're taking on the debt of a mortgage or a school loan or a car loan so that we can have a better life for ourselves and for others. And that was not money that we had just available to us. And so that is what was necessary, was to take the loan, the mortgage, etc., in order to make that happen. Does that make sense? Because it's really not about light at the end of the tunnel, really. You know what I mean? It's about, I have something of value now that I didn't have before. And I choose to use this debt as a form of wealth that helps me create my ideal life, right? Let's see. Oh, is there more? Oh yeah, sorry. It wouldn't let me go below the comments here. Okay, sorry. Let's see. Okay, so I've got another limiting belief here, which is that I won't be able to earn a steady income to meet my needs and some wants as a freelancer. So it sounds like this is someone who is interested in starting a business or working for themselves, freelancing, and they're worried they're not going to be able to earn a steady income to meet their needs. Now, lady, there are plenty of people out there, myself included, who make a full-time income or better than what they made at 9 to 5. If you're familiar with my story, that my business makes more money than I made at my 9 to 5, right? And I was able to replace my income in 6 months working for myself. So obviously it's possible. It is possible. If it's possible for me, it is possible for you. So let's go ahead and get you an affirmation. And I know I have one on here for this. I won't be able to, okay, hold on. Here, this is the one I would use for you, Goonies girl. Let's see, let me put you up here. Add to broadcast. I am doing what I love and earning lots of money for my work. I am doing what I love and earning lots of money for my work, right? I would think that when it comes to this thought, right, and definitely something that came to mind for me when I was making the leap from a 9 to 5 job to, freelancing, working for myself, etc., was that there was a certain value in the fact that I now had freedom to be my own boss, right? So I knew that even if I was taking a temporary pay cut, it was going to be worth it in the end because I was going to be living a better life. I was going to be taking steps to live my best life, live my highest life, be of service to myself, of my community in a way that I couldn't before while I was changed to a 9 to 5, right? So that is how I would think you would want to view that. So I hope that was helpful. Okay, here's a good one. Okay, well, let me take this one off. This is a good one. I'm glad someone said something about this. Okay, here we go. Yeah, here we go. So Faith says, I can't make more money than my Social Security check because I could lose benefits. This is absolutely a limiting belief. Now, the situation here is that obviously this is someone who is receiving money, a Social Security check, because I'm going to assume there's a disability, there's some reason that you either can't work or whatnot, and you are being paid a Social Security check for it, okay? Now, what would happen if you won the lottery, okay? Like literally, what would happen if you won the lottery? Yeah, you would probably lose your Social Security check. But is that really like how you want to roll the dice there? Like you never want to play the lottery because you'd lose your Social Security check? Like you'd never want to lose that income. So this is a situation where you're, instead of being like tied to a job, right? You are tied to this concept of this social security check. That this is the only way you could possibly earn money because you are, again, I'm making an assumption here that you might have a disability. You are unable to work. There's a reason you're unable to work, or perhaps you're someone who takes care of somebody else. I know in some countries, I don't know if it's in the US yet, you can receive Social Security if you are taking care of like a family member, a friend who is unable to care for themselves, right? Totally legit. It is a different type of work, right? So the thing here though, is that you are married to that Social Security check, right? In your mind, the way someone else might be married to a 9 to 5 job and not want to take the risk to move beyond that, right? You can make money other ways than receiving money from the government. You're right. If you won the lottery, you're screwed. They're not going to give you money anymore, right? But thank God, because that's going to be more money than what you're going to be able to receive for your income, that limited income that you're getting from Social Security. Does that make sense? So what we're thinking about here is there are plenty of people, again, and I made this example before, that the idea that you have to work to earn money, right? We know that that's not true. Plenty of people do not end up having to ever work in order to earn money, right? Like they are given money. They either have a spouse or someone or family members that provide for them. There are so many different opportunities and situations that could happen to you within the realm of the universe if you just opened yourself up to those ideas, right? It's not about keeping the Social Security check and something else, right? Like that would be great if you could. And you still kind of can. That's the other thing about this, right? You can only lose your Social Security check if you start earning money. But that doesn't mean that you can't earn some extra goodies for yourself from the, not earn, but abundantly receive some extra goodies for yourself from the universe, and it would not go against your Social Security check. So let's say you're someone who is on a fixed income because you have Social Security or you're on disability or something like that. And you're like, oh, I really would love to, like the idea with the tires that we already used, right? The example of the tires on the car, receiving something as a gift, right? Or let's say you really need some new clothes, but you have a very limited budget. You're like looking for something very specific. And maybe one day you go into a thrift shop, right? And because maybe that's where, you are able to spend money, because that is within your, right now, your anticipated budget. And you find exactly what you're looking for like a fraction of the price that it would have cost at a store, right? So you need to start looking at this limiting belief that you cannot go beyond the Social Security check as an opportunity for you to open yourself up to different ways to receive abundance that may not be monetary, right? So it may not be, people giving you money, you winning the lottery or something like that. It can happen that way, right? That can happen that way. And then it kind of, you don't need the Social Security check anymore. Wouldn't that be awesome, right? Isn't that kind of the ideal to be manifesting and to be holding space for in your life, right? Because there's no risk to this, right? The worst thing that can happen is it takes a long time to get to you, and then you spend a lot of time in 2 and 3, right? In steps 2 and 3, bouncing around, and maybe you don't get exactly what you were hoping for, but I bet you get close, right? It's one of those things like shoot for the stars, right? And you will still land amongst the heavens, even if you don't make it all the way, right? So think about how you could be thinking bigger than I can only live because of the Social Security check, and think about how you can be receiving abundance in other ways other than just receiving money, right? Because like I said, in the first example, the first activity we did, those activities, it's actually easier, I think, to manifest things, specific things that you need or want or desire than the money, the monetary equivalent. So I hope that helps with you, Faith, and anybody else who has a question that is similar to that. Because the limiting belief itself is you just think you're stuck because you are thinking that you can only make money one way, right? It's the same thing as somebody else who's like, I can only make money one way through my job. I can only make money through, however, your job. I'm trying to think how are other ways that people only make money one way. Money, yeah, whenever you're on a fixed sort of income situation, right? But there are always other ways to make money or to bring in abundance. Someone said class action settlement. Amazon gave me a credit for her review. Hey, that's abundance. Let me tell you, when Amazon gives you credits, right? That's money that you can spend with Amazon. Okay. So, Faith even provided her own challenge, which is awesome. So I hope I was actually able to add to you too, because it sounds like I went a little bit of a different way. Right? Let's see. You guys are talking about multiple streams of income, right? So I always think that's great. See, for me, I always feel like, especially like I said before, in this day and age, there's so many different ways that you could have a job, right? And bring in multiple streams of income at the same time. And I always think that's the easy, like if you have something like that set up, right? I always think it gives the universe a really great opportunity to give you money, right? Especially if you're someone who maybe like me or like Christy or Tanya, I believe is on here. Was that Tanya who left that comment? Oh no. Yeah, Tanya might be in here or she was referenced. If you have products that for sale that are like digital or on demand, if you have things that people could buy at any time of the day, anywhere, right? So like while you're sleeping, you could be making money. I remember the first time that I had a huge order in my shop that was like over $100 when my shop first launched. Somebody in Australia spent over it was like over $125 or something. In my shop, I woke up to this money and I was so flippin' elated. Like this was the first maybe big order in my shop before I was doing any sort of classes or courses that were obviously, pricier. When I just had like, some inserts that were like $5, $10, $20. That was mind-boggling to me, mind-boggling. But when you have something like that set up, I mean, like I'm not saying that that's what you need to do, right? But I always think that if you have something like that, geez, it makes it easy for the universe to deliver you money because you could be earning income passively that way. Like what's easier than being someone, you want an extra, let's say $1,000 one month, right? For me, that could be somebody buying like 2 of my courses. You know what I mean? Like 2 course purchases. All I need is the universe to line up 2 people who are interested in my message and like what I have to offer. And then I could make that extra money. So do you see how like easily it could be, right? It is so easy to make money if you are open to all of the ways that it could happen for you, right? So that's something we want to keep in mind. Oh, Faith said, affirmation. I'm always surprised by how the universe always takes care of me, supplies all my needs, and wants wonderfully. That is beautiful, Faith. I love that. I think that's great. And I think everybody should see this because I think this is a beautiful one. This is a beautiful universal sort of affirmation that you could use. And it is so true. The universe, like I said, equal opportunity provider. If it has provided Paris Hilton with a life of lavish luxury just for being born, just for falling out of the right vagina, right? Then you too can have such a life if you believe that it is possible for you. If you overcome the beliefs that, you have to work hard for money, that money only comes in a certain way, that you're only able to earn this energetic minimum and maximum, right? So many different ways that the universe can provide for you if you open up to all those opportunities, right? I'm a money magnet. Love it. You are a money magnet, Katie. Say it. And it is true. Believe it. It is true. And feel it. The most important thing is not just to say it, but to actually believe it. 2 minutes takes 2 minutes smiling, standing in the pose, right? To activate it in your brain so that you have really solidified a good neural pathway. And you have to come back to it often, often, often. We're going to talk about that next. So I think this is a good segue, actually, to talk about number 3, activity number 3, and step number 3. Step number 3 of this process is to raise your vibration to feel abundant, okay? So what we're going to do for this, what I have for you guys for this, is a very simple thing that anybody can do every day. Is this, you being silly here? I think my lighting just changed a little bit. I think you guys can see that now, right? And so it might be a teeny bit brighter in here. So the focus is off a little bit. I think that's good enough. Okay. That'll do. Oh wait, that's something on my screen. Okay. So what I've got for you for step number 3 is the idea of manifestation journaling, right? So step number 3 was to raise your vibration to feel abundant. And I promised you that I was going to explain that is not some crazy woo-woo thing. When I say raise your vibration to feel abundant, what is a vibration? Your vibration, everything vibrates. This is quantum theory. This is quantum mechanics. This is science. Everything is made up of teeny, teeny, tiny particles that are pure energy. That energy whizzes around itself, right? We've got a nucleus with inside every atom. You've got nucleus with protons and neutrons, and you've got electrons going around it, like spinning crazy. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Pure energy. Things are vibrating. Those vibrating elements, those atoms cluster together, right? And they create an illusion of a solid object the way that, let me see if I've got something here I can whiz around for you guys. I love this example. Oh, I should have gotten a little ball on a string. Hold on, let me see if I can find something over here. Oh gosh, this is going to be silly to throw around. But it'll do. It'll do. I'm hoping this will do. Let's hope I don't hurt myself or others doing this. Okay, hold on. Let's change to full FaceTime here. Okay, so I've got a dog outfit here. Cute little D-dog outfit for my dog, okay? So this, I want you to imagine that this is just a string that has a ball on the end of it. This is my favorite example. If we take this and we spin it around fast enough, hold on, I'm going to hurt myself. I'm going to break things, etc. It goes from being a solid object to looking more like breaking stuff. I'm telling you, I'm going to break stuff. More like, oh, now the dog's like, what has mom done? She's throwing our stuff around. I'm sorry. I know. I'm sorry. I'm making a mess of life here, right? Okay. Calm down. You're fine. Okay. I've scared the dogs. I'm a little crazy right now. I get really into this manifesting stuff. So what ends up happening, you got a ball on a string, you have an object, you're moving it around. The quicker you move it around, it is moving, but it will begin to start looking, if you move it fast enough, I'm obviously not a machine that's able to move this fast enough. It will start to look like a solid object. And what ends up happening is you've got the thing whizzing around, a ball on a string. Think about ball on a string. If you're moving around fast enough, what will end up happening is not only does it look like a whole big shape now, because it's got a motion blur on it, but if you were to stick your hand in, right, and break that orbit, anywhere that you reached in to that object, you would immediately feel resistance. You'd be hit by the ball, right? So this is the way things look like they're solid, but they're actually still moving. Everything in our reality, everything we see, everything that exists vibrates, right? This is vibrating, right? We just can't tell because we're all vibrating too. This is vibrating. I'm vibrating. Phone's vibrating. Not because I'm getting a call, because it exists. The water's vibrating, right? Everything is vibrating, right? So how do we control vibration, right? Because there is a sense that, things have their set vibration, but what we know is that you can actually control or change vibration. And the way you can do that as a human being is through thought. You may be familiar with the quote that says, where attention goes, energy flows, right? So you can actually change your energy, focus your energy on a specific thing. So when you are focusing on what your manifestation is, right? The manifestation that you are expecting, right? You're anticipating is coming into reality for you. You are aligning your vibration with the vibration of that reality, right? Because somewhere in one of the many possible universes out there in the world, not in the world, but in the universe, obviously, there is a reality where you've already experienced that. If you can see it in your mind, that you are receiving the thing that you need, right? You're getting those new tires on your car, like you're getting your new foundation from Sephora, whatever it is, right? If you believe that that is a reality for you, see it in your mind, then you can bring it into reality because it actually does have a vibrational resonance because what your brain thinks is real is real. Remember, your entire existence, right? Everything that your brain is taken in and those 400 billion pieces of information that you're not even cognizant of, and the 2,000 pieces that you are cognizant of every second, right? All go into shaping your lens, your view of the world, right? So if you can see it in your mind, you can make it a reality. Now, this is where I think I had said something about make sure somebody reminds me to give you an example about. I think we talked about this. If you guys remember what I said, should be an example about how this works from a scientific point, right? Okay, so this is quantum mechanics, okay? So this is how this scientifically works. There was, and I don't remember who it was, but there was someone who did an experiment, right, for quantum mechanics, where what they were trying to do with this experiment was they wanted to take a little electron particles, like little electrical particles, so like physical little objects, but teeny, teeny, tiny. They wanted to move them like through not through an object, but like I think it was in like an enclosed like cathode tube, I think they're called. So they were going to move these little objects using light. Okay, they were going to use light to move teeny tiny particles. And you're like, wait, light moves things? You can move things with light? Okay, so this is what they did. They thought, let's start by working on the intensity of the light, right? So they thought, okay, so maybe a light that wasn't as strong, right, wasn't as bright, would not be able to move the electrons as much, right? So a brighter light would be able to move the electrons. This is what they found. No matter how bright it was, did not matter how bright the light was, it never moved the electrons, right? It could never move it. Oh, the example was not to manifest instantly. Okay, thank you for remembering that. We will talk about that in number 4. Very good that you remembered that, because I didn't. Now I'm going to tell you about this instead. So you guys are lucky. You're getting more science now. Okay, so they were trying to move these electrons using light. They couldn't based on the brightness. What they did find, though, was if they used different frequencies of light, which different frequencies of light, the frequencies are based on color, right? So if they used a higher frequency of light, which means that if you think about like a wavelength, it means that there's more of these wavelengths happening in a period of time. That's a higher frequency. Like if something's going slower and longer, that's a lower frequency, more frequency. The higher frequency of light, the more they could actually get the electron to move, okay? So when they paired frequency with intensity, then the thing moved really well, right? So they had a strong high frequency light. Yeah, that they were flying with that electron, right? But the intensity alone, right? Wanting it to move strongly did not affect it at all unless they had the right frequency of light. This can be extrapolated to human experience in terms of manifesting and your vibration to understand that more often that you get yourself in alignment with that vibrational reality of you having the thing you want. So the more time you spend living in that feeling, right? Those thoughts, those feelings, and acting as if you have received something, right? That is what actually moves the needle to bring it to you. That is what actually moves the needle with the universe to actually get you to get what it is that you want, okay? So this is very scientifically related, right? Is that frequency, right? The amount of times, frequency, more important than the actual intensity. Doesn't matter how hard you pushing more, the higher frequency was really what ended up doing it, right? So in terms of our energy, happier emotions, right? Joyful emotions are those high frequency emotions that we have, right? And if we point them to, in our minds, to the thing that we want, right? So if we stand there like this, smiling and repeating the affirmation, I can't wait to receive my new tires on my car. I can't wait to receive, free tickets to a Taylor Swift concert. I can't wait. This is going to be awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you. I'm so happy. This is the greatest. It's going to be the greatest feeling, sitting front row and watching Taylor sing to me or whatnot. That, the more often you can do that, the quicker it'll actually come to you. How do you do this realistically? You manifestation journal, okay? So some of you guys who may be following me for a while, you guys may know I have a manifestation journal, my High Vibe Bible. Where did I put it? You were just here. Oh, here you are. Here you are, friend. But inside of this workbook, I've actually gone ahead and given you guys one of the daily page in here, okay? So let's go back to the overhead. Getting a little crazy here. Things are getting a little exciting, okay? And I guess this would be a good time to remind you that if you want to get this workbook, right? Use the code MANIFESTMONEY for 33% off the workbook, okay? So, just want to make sure I'm still visible here. Okay. So, how are we going to do this manifestation journaling? Best way to get your scientifically proven at this point, best way to get your brain into the right frame of mind when it comes to journaling, gratitude journaling. Gratitude journaling really, really moves the needle when it comes to actually raising your vibration, right? So every day you want to be spending a little bit of time talking about what you're grateful for in your life, right? Recognizing the abundance that's all around you. I'm so happy and grateful for my home. And I'm so happy and grateful that I was able to use debt effectively so that I can live in my dream home. I am so glad I'm so happy and grateful that I'm driving my dream car, that I'm an entrepreneur and I work for myself and I have freedom of location and freedom of work and I can spend as much time at home with my dogs as I want to, right? I am so happy and grateful that the universe has given me this thing that I'm looking for, right? This manifestation that I'm looking for, right? So you want to add that manifestation to a daily gratitude practice, right? You want to be living, again, 2 minutes. It takes 2 minutes to live in those emotions, right? Because when you start, even if you're in a crappy mood, right? You should try this. When you're in a crappy mood, go ahead and do these gratitude journaling. Like sometimes when I'm in a crappy mood, I will just like look around me and anything I can see, it's like, I am grateful for this Canon camera that we're using. That's such a great quality that gives me the ability to make really great videos for my audience and communicate with my audience more effectively. I am so grateful for my iPhone that I spend a lot of time on it and get to be on social media, and it's fun and exciting. It has a great camera that I can take pictures with and share with pictures of my dogs with everybody. I am so grateful for coffee, right? My espresso cup, this Tiffany cup that I have, right? That this is a beautiful gift that I received and I love the color and it makes me feel so abundant. Thank you. I'm so happy and grateful for this beautiful crystal. I do love this crystal. This crystal just makes me so excited when I see it. I'm so happy and grateful for this beautiful crystal. It always raises my vibration. And I am so happy and grateful that the universe has delivered to me X, Y, and Z thing that I'm looking to manifest. Thank you so much, universe, right? You do that like stream of consciousness style for 2 minutes. I like feel it in my heart. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's hard not to feel that in your heart. And that is actually your vibration changing and raising, right? So you do that every day, right? You start with that. Once you've done the 2 minutes and you can feel yourself in the feelings, right? You want to wait for the second part until you're in your feelings, okay? Then you're going to journal, aligning your thoughts and your actions, right? Because we all know that we live in a universe, right? Where we've talked about this and I'll talk about this in a second. Things don't immediately manifest. So that we have to spend our time doing something. We might as well spend our time productively and hopefully following the flow of the universe to make it easier for the universe to bring things to us, right? I know everyone says, there's an example that's often given when it comes to manifestation, that it's like technically with manifestation or law of attraction or whatnot, a single woman sitting in her house watching TV, if she believed hard enough and felt the vibration, the universe would deliver her a perfect boyfriend right to her door. And it's like, yes, that's likely going to be the postman or a delivery man, but sure, yeah, it could happen, right? But wouldn't it just be so much easier? Wouldn't I be helping the universe out if I went out into the world and did things and didn't just stay in my house to get whatever your thing is that you're looking for, right? Yes, we live in a world where things can be delivered to your home, right? But wouldn't it be great if you could go out and get something, right? Be out in the world and following the flow of energy, and how you follow that flow of energy, how you align your actions and your thoughts with the vibration of the frequency of the vibration of the thing that you want is getting into that feeling and then doing a stream of consciousness style journaling for what you want to do today. Like, what am I going to do today? Okay, so today I have my workshop. So I need to get dressed and I need to do my hair and makeup, right? And I think it would be great for me to, dance around to music before I start. I love doing that. And I want to make sure that I spend a little bit of time meditating to raise my energy because I haven't been sleeping very well. So that'll help. And after my workshop, I need to go to Home Depot and I need to go rent a gas auger so I can dig some holes in my backyard. This is really things that I have to do today. And these are all things that when you're in the vibration of that positive mood, right? That positive mood, you are under the influence in a way of the universe. That positive vibration. You are under the influence of the universe. And so what will likely happen is that stream of consciousness style thing of like, oh, these are things I need to do today. And this is what feels good. This is what I feel like I need to do today, right? Not things like, oh, I know I need to do this today. I have to. Yeah, write those things down. That's fine. But what are the things that you're like, you feel you need to do? Like for me, it's like, I feel like I really need to spend some time dancing around to music in my bathroom while I'm doing my makeup because I know that's going to make the whole workshop better. And I know that if I spend 30 minutes meditating, right, with one of my high vibrational meditation tracks, that will help me to be more awake and will mask my exhaustion from being up since 4 a.m. with the dog vomiting, right? So these are things like, what do you feel like you need to do? A lot of times people are like, oh, how do I know what I'm supposed to do, right? Let me tell you, I have spent my entire life having no clue what I'm supposed to do, but just feeling like, you know what, I'm just going to do whatever I want, right? And it has worked out pretty darn well. People always ask me like, Alexis, how did you know to do this? How did you know to do that? I didn't know. I just got a feeling, and the feeling was strong, and I went with the feeling, and the feeling paid off. And after that event happens enough times where you feel like you're in a good mood and you're interested in making an outcome happen or manifesting something, and you are looking for the answer of what you should be doing, and you just chill out and let the answer come to you. And then you go, okay, this is a good feeling. I have a good feeling about this, right? Because we're all vibrational beings and the universe is constantly talking to us because the universe is an equal opportunity provider and is always giving us signals the way that it can. It doesn't have a mouth. It cannot speak to us. It speaks to us through this vibrational essence that we all carry with us. And it gives you a feeling that you need to do X, Y, and Z. And when you get up and you do it, good things happen. And the more you do that, the more you start to believe that feeling in your gut or that feeling in your heart or that overwhelming sensation you're getting in your mind, right? However you feel it, because a lot of people feel the vibration differently. I'm like a sacral chakra, I think is what it's called. Yeah, sacral chakra. I'm like saying that word funny. I'm like a sacral person, right? So I feel it in my gut. It's like, ugh. But then some other people are like emotional, like they feel it in their heart. They're like, oh, if I feel emotionally strong about this, then I will go with it, right? I'm someone that if my emotions tell me yes, I have to check with my gut and be like, gut, can you please give me a second on this? Because I know you are better than the emotional because I'm a Pisces and I'm a very emotional being. So I can't always trust my emotions. And then there's some people who literally need to like work it out in their head. And once they've worked out in their head, they get like a light bulb moment. And then that is the way they know it's time to make a move, right? So it's hard sometimes to teach people this, right? Because it is an experience that only you can experience and your individual experience is going to be different. But I will tell you that you probably likely already know if you're someone who has to listen to your gut, or if you're someone who has to listen to your heart, or if you're someone who has to listen to your head, because you have a track record. You've been on this earth long enough that you have a track record of when I go with just what my heart says and it's not aligned with my gut, things don't work out right? If I spend too much time in my head and I don't go down into my heart center and think about it, things don't work out, right? There are people who think like gutturally, right? Like it's in their gut, the feeling is in their heart, or the feeling is in their head, right? There's like a lot of different ways people are programmed, but those are like the three that I've like heard of, right? Like I feel like it's either in your gut, your heart, your head has to work it out, right? Actually, I think there's more. There might be some more. So I don't know all of them, right? I just know that I'm the sacral person. I know that if I feel it in my gut, like I get a twinge in my gut, and that says has to win over this and over this, because this guy is right the most, right? So that's who I have to go with. You know which part of your body. I don't know. Maybe it's your left foot. Maybe your left foot gets a little tingle in it. And anytime you follow the tingle in your left foot, then good things happen. Wherever you feel it, whatever that sign is for you, that it's not just a sign. It's not just something that pops up, right? It is something that you are going to feel in your essence, in your being, because you are a vibrational person. You are like vibrate. You're here in this reality, right? So you're a vibration. You're going to feel it somewhere. Start paying attention to where you get your feelings. If you're the kind of person, and I've known a lot of people like this, actually. I've known people like this, where it's like they always get a feeling that they should do X, but they don't listen to it. They go and they're like, you know what? It doesn't make sense for me to do that. Why would I do that? So I'm going to do this thing that my brain's telling me to do. And things always turn to disaster. And it's like, oh, Alexis, how did this turn out this way? I'm like, well, why didn't you listen to the feeling you had in your gut or in your heart or wherever, or in your right pinky toe? Like, why didn't you listen to that thing that you felt was important enough to mention, right? Or to think about, right? You thought about it, but then you dismissed it, right? I know sometimes that this like idea of trusting these vibrations seems really dumb, right? We live in a society that wants to tell us it's really dumb, right? The thing is, I don't know if you've seen society lately. No judgment on society. Society as a whole isn't doing the best, right? Not doing the best, right? So something that I've always personally kind of executed on was, if the pack is doing something, right? If all of society is telling you really need to do this, I really need to stop and evaluate that, because I don't want to end up where the majority of people end up. I want to end up in the road that Alexis is going to end up on, which is the road less traveled, right? Which maybe is a path to greatness and success, or maybe it's just a path to like eternal peace and happiness. Whatever it is, I don't want to follow the flock. I want to follow my own road, right? So that's the best way I can explain it. That's how I can explain it. And unfortunately, this is why I think a lot of times these conversations about energy and manifestation and vibration and frequency, people just dismiss it. Because even though there's scientific evidence, it's great. I love it. The scientific evidence is just overwhelming at this point. Like it really is, just keeps piling it on, right? But it doesn't always make logical sense. And that's the thing. Society likes logical sense, right? And so if it doesn't make logical sense, then they're not going to do it. I still find that to be interesting, because most people in the world would say that they identify with a religion. And that religion doesn't always make logical sense, does it? No, it doesn't. So go with what your gut or your heart or your head or your left pinky toe or whatever, or the little tingle you get in your nose. Wherever you feel like you feel something all the time, when you feel like you know you should do something, but then you try to ignore it and then things go bad. But if you listen to it, things go good. Start paying attention to that more, okay? Because that is your like internal barometer, okay? That's the best thing I could say about that. And when you get into the vibration of gratitude and abundance and in alignment with the thing you want, it's 2 minutes, takes 2 minutes to like set that frequency. It's like, it's just funny because it is scientific. You need the 2 minutes, right? You wait in that feeling in 2 minutes and you will start getting inspiration somewhere. You're going to feel it somewhere. You're going to know, you're going to suddenly have an answer, because you know the answer already, right? You know the answer. It doesn't make sense why you know it, because someone didn't give it to you, but you know it. So that is manifestation journaling. And if you do it every day, right? This is the frequency thing. You hit this every day. You touch this every day. You do this every day. Your path from where you are to where you are in the future, where you have that thing you want, becomes shorter. It all comes quicker. Okay? That is number 3. Was there anything else on these notes for this that I wanted to mention? Because I kind of went off on a tangent because I got confused about which one I was supposed to be explaining the scientific principles for. Okay. Step 4. Let's go to step 4. Step 4 is to hold space for the manifestation to arrive. Jeez Louise, this is sometimes the hardest one. Okay. So what does it mean to hold space for the manifestation to arrive? It means that we are not going to give in or change our order until it arrives. We are going to believe that is going to come hell or high water. We are going to get the thing we want. We're not going to settle for something else. We're going to stand firm. Okay? What comes to mind for me on this one is that I think I talked to you about my girlfriend who is a doctor, she was going through a whole thing with getting new jobs, and she had set this goal for herself, and she had a whole bunch of jobs she interviewed for. There was a few that she's like, I want this one, this would be perfect. And then there was other ones, and she wasn't hearing back from the ones that she wanted yet, but she had gotten offers from ones that were like offering her less than what she wanted. But they were still more than what she was earning, and they were okay, but they weren't exactly what she wanted. So had she have given in to this one, like there was this one offer that was really tempting. It had like, let's say it was like 9 out of 10 things that she wanted. If she'd given into that early, right, and not waited for the manifestation to arrive, she ended up with these 2 amazing competing offers that both of them had to relocate her somewhere else, but she was making like she was so within what she wanted to make, okay? But she really felt like giving in at certain points. Like we'd be texting in the morning. She'd be like, I just think I should call them and say yes, right? I should call them and say yes. And then when one of her, let's say that there were 3 big ones, offers that she wanted, one of the big 3 didn't come through. they ended up being like, no, thank you at this time, right? We were going a different way. That made her really question, like, should I just give in and take this offer? And we were like, no, wait, give yourself this permission to wait. Like, you can wait, hold space for this, right? And at least wait until you hear from the other two, because the other one, that person is letting you wait, right? Don't chicken out, right? Don't panic. Wait for hear from the other two. She waits to hear from the other two a couple more weeks. It really was. I feel bad for her. It was excruciating. And it was excruciating for me because I was like kind of like the big sister who was like, where is she going to go? What's going to happen with her life? Is she going to move here? Is she going to move there? What's going to happen? And guess what? She got these 2 other offers. So the big 3 that she wanted, one of them backed out, the other 2 amazing competing offers. And she ended up choosing one of them. And it was such a better situation for her. But this is what it means to hold space, right? You have to wait for the thing to actually arrive. Another great analogy for this is like if you go to a restaurant, right? You sit down, look at the menu, place an order. Hold on, I got to get a thing because I'm going to cough. Go to a restaurant, place an order. You know that, sooner or later your food is going to arrive, right? Depending on how busy the restaurant is and how quick their turnover is, right? But if before let's say you sit down and you're like, okay, I want to have the Reuben. Okay, I want the Reuben, right? We're going out for lunch. I want a Reuben. Sounds good. I might want a Reuben today, maybe myself. I want a Reuben. But if before your Reuben arrives, you pull your waitress aside and say, actually, I changed my mind. I want waffles, right? And she's like, okay, I'll go change that then, right? It means that you're going to be waiting longer, right? Right? So maybe like, when she was walking right back, right, before you had given, you'd given her that new order, she goes back and they're like, oh, here's the Reuben. She's like, oh, no, the girl at table 2 now wants waffles. And they're like, oh, geez Louise, okay, I'll make waffles, right? Obviously, right? So your Reuben was about to arrive, right? But if you give in and go, I think I'll take something else instead, right? Of course, it means that you're going to be waiting longer, right? You're going to be waiting longer. So this is where the idea that you need to hold space, and you have no idea how many people go through step 1, 2, and 3, and they do 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 3, like they go back and forth, and then they finally get to the point where like, okay, I'm ready to receive. And then they go, actually, I'm scared, right? Which really, that would probably indicate that there really was another limiting belief there, or they were really just getting like a little bit ADD and like could not stay focused, right? But that meant that there was not a true belief that it was coming, right? Because if you knew the thing you wanted was coming, you wouldn't give in, right? So why do all of this work just to change the order at the last minute, right? So this is the thing about holding space, okay? Things do not, what's what we're going to do. This is the activity we're going to do for this, which is a check from the universe, okay? We're going to do a check from the universe here. And here's my beautiful check. Here's my page of checks here that I can write from the Bank of the Universe to me, okay? Because going through steps 1, 2, and 3, you're deciding what you want. You are setting those new minimums and maximums of what you're allowed to receive so that you can actually get the thing you want. And then you are identifying those limiting beliefs. And then every day you are pre-programming yourself through frequency, right? To raise that vibration, right? Every day you do that. It's like you are putting deposits into a bank account, an energetic bank account. And eventually you're going to be, once you have those, once those, those things, those deposits go through, you're going to be able to start writing checks from that account, right? So that's what we're going to do here, okay? Once you've done the work, right, of step 1, step 2, step 3, step 2 a few times, step 3 a few times, you know what I'm saying? Like you're doing the step 3 hopefully as often as possible, like every darn day, twice a day if you can, that'd be great. And you've overcoming those limiting beliefs, right? Ideally, at the end of that, if there's no more limiting beliefs, you should be ready to get your check from the universe. So if you really feel like you're like, you know what, I've done the work, I am ready, right? I want you to go to your checkbook from the universe and I want you to write out, you want to cash that out. You want to cash out that energy. You're saying, you know what, universe, I've done the work, I'm ready to receive, okay? I'm holding the space for this. I'm ready to receive. This is definitely happening, right? So what we'll do here is we will write the date, right? The date that you would like this manifestation to come by, right? Oh, it's 3/13 right now, you guys. That's my number, 3/13. Okay, so what's the date that you really want this manifestation to come by? Be reasonable because you're going to hold space. You're going to hold space. What's the date that you want the thing to come by? Let's just say Halloween here, okay? Pay to the order of your name, right? I'm going to say MissTrenchcoat, okay? At MissTrenchcoat. Make sure you're following me on Instagram, at MissTrenchcoat. With my beautiful handwriting. Not. Then, just like a normal check, I want you to write in the thing that you're trying to get, right? Here, I'm just going to put the Pat McGrath. Am I saying that right? HD Foundation. I think it's called HD Foundation. I don't remember what it's called. Energetically, I know what I'm talking about. And then, okay, so what is it that you want? What's the amount of money? What's the thing? Better to do the thing, right? And this is going to be something that's likely already on it should be your energetic budget, your abundance budget. Then you're going to write in here. This is like where you'd write the money out, like with handwrite. I want you to write out how you're going to feel when you receive it, okay? So I'm going to say, as soon as I receive the foundation, I'm going to have so much fun. Doing my makeup and playing in my beauty room. We'll say that, okay? Okay? So you're saying, I'm ready to receive this. And this is what I'm going to do with this as soon as I get this, okay? So I want you to like have this projection here. This line is like the projection of what you're going to do, how you're going to feel, what you're going to act, thoughts, feelings, actions, right? As soon as you get it. But like, I know this is coming, so this is what we're going to do. I'm going to start making plans with this money. I'm going to start making plans with this energy, okay? Then down here in the memo, you could go ahead and put, like your affirmation in there that you've been using, right? Or just some extra notes here, right? Or a little bit of gratitude, right? So we could put gratitude. I love gratitude is the best. Like I said, there's something about gratitude. It gives you, it's like energetically the best. Gratitude, affirmation, right? And just like extra feelings, right? Extra feels, okay? And then it's already signed. The universe has already signed this. They promised they're going to give the money. They promised they're going to give you the thing, right? So what you're going to do with this, once you filled it out, right? You're going to cut it out, right? And you're going to put it somewhere where you're going to see it. You're going to put it somewhere you're going to see it, right? Maybe some place that would be great for me to put this, like since my example was foundation, right? Might be actually in my beauty cabinet where my makeup is, print it out so I see it. So that in the morning when I'm getting ready with my normal makeup, right? And I can go, it's going to be great when I get that Pat McGrath foundation, right? Okay. And I know that's a silly example. Like obviously I can go out and buy a foundation if I want to. I'm just using it as an example. But whatever that thing is, right? So for you, if it's your new tires for your car, go ahead, right? Put this in your car maybe. So every time you're driving your car, you're like, oh, it's going to be great. I'm just imagining right now, I'm driving with these new wheels on, right? That you're looking for, your new tires, right? For whatever the thing is. So leave it somewhere that might be the best place, like where you might expect to receive or where you'd expect to be using the thing that's coming in, like whatever it is, like if it's clothes or something, put it in your closet. So when you see, when you're getting ready, you're like, that's right, I'm getting this thing, right? And that's how your mindset needs to be. I'm getting this thing. This thing is coming. It's on its way. I see the check. It's right there. I got the check. It's going to clear any day now, right? That's the idea here. This check is going to clear any day now, right? You're waiting for it. It's coming in, right? And you just have to believe and it will be true, right? So that's what you're going to do with this energetic check. Now, this is what I'm going to do. Let me see what my notes were for this. And then we're going to tell you why you don't want things to manifest immediately. Okay? We talked about this. Yep. All the work that you're doing, upping your frequency, aligning with your manifestation, that's depositing the energy into the bank of the universe. And like a bank, when you have the money, when it's cleared your account, you can start writing checks with it. Bada bing, bada boom, you will receive what you are looking for once you've done the work, right? And you'll feel like when you've done the work, when you're like, I've gone far enough with this, like I feel like it's time for me to get it, right? So now, the example of why you do not want to, and this is less scientific, but I mean, there's got to be science for this. This is just an example of why you do not want things to instantly manifest. Has anyone seen the movie called The Sphere? Okay, old movie. Can't remember, 90s, early 2000s, Samuel L. Jackson, Dustin Hoffman, Sharon Stone. There's an alien orb in the bottom of the ocean, and they send a team of people to go make contact with it, right? And let me see if you guys have seen this movie. No spoilers here, but this is an old movie, okay? There's going to be spoilers, but this is an old movie, so I apologize, okay? If you have never seen it, go see it. If you've seen it, you know that this orb has some sort of power to manifest people's thoughts instantly, right? So if you've interacted with the sphere, or not even interacted, because wasn't Queen Latifah in that movie and she had the thing that happened? Did it happen to her, or was it because of Samuel L. Jackson? I think it was because of her. If you were in the vicinity of the sphere, it's a little bit confusing exactly the mechanics of it. If you were in the vicinity of the sphere, you had the power to instantly manifest things that you thought of. So they were underwater, like 10,000 leagues under the sea. And speaking of 10,000 leagues under the sea, what ends up happening is they're under there with this orb, investigating it, basically, interacting with it, and weird things start happening. In one of the scenes, they get attacked by a giant squid-like thing that is literally ripped from the pages of 10,000 Leagues Under the Sea, because Samuel L. Jackson, who's part of this team, is reading that book in his cabin, reading this book, thinking about this book, thinking about this scene in the book, right? And all of a sudden, giant squid is attacking their like underwater sea base, okay? And they're like, what the heck is this? Okay, they're like, what is this? Where did this come from? It literally like knocks out power, like causes like all things to rupture, like all water squirting everywhere. They're like going to drown, all this stuff. And then it disappears, right? And there's a whole bunch of other antics that happen in this movie in which things just randomly manifest, right? Because they didn't realize this, that they didn't know yet. They figure it out a little bit later, that things that they're thinking about instantly, right, start to manifest because they're within this. They're in the vicinity of this orb, okay? So the thing is about humans is, I don't know if you've noticed this, but if we had the ability to instantly manifest, we would likely manifest our own death and demise. Like that is probably the first thing that would happen. Before we became millionaires, before we got the ideal body, before we got, our dream car or the best foundation in the world or perfect skin or whatever it is, right? Before you got all of the great things you wanted and even had a chance to enjoy them, you would instantly manifest hell on earth for yourself. If not immediate death and dismemberment for yourself and others whom you love, okay? Because that is the nature of being human, right? We think of negative things. We do not have the self-mastery that is required to manifest only the best things for our life. Because look at us now, right? And I'm not saying that any of us are in like bad situations by any means, but we're not all manifesting the best things. Like I will say, I'm definitely not always manifesting the greatest things for myself. You know what I mean? And I know about manifesting, you know what I mean? Because it takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of self-control to go through all of these steps and be intentional about it, right? So this is why you do not want to instantly manifest, because instant manifestations would be doom. Not to mention, we change our minds so many times. It's like we really do need it to be a little bit of an effort, don't we? And on a logical, when you think about like how the mechanics of manifestation actually works, you are saying that you think a thought and the universe starts bringing the thing to you. But the universe, obviously, like I said before, it doesn't have mouth. It doesn't have hands. The universe is energy, right? Technically, we are all the mouths and hands and eyes and feet and, I don't know, phones of the universe, right? Because we're all the manifestation of the universe, right? What ends up happening is the universe, like an invisible chess master, starts lining up the pieces, right, for things to come in to fruition and starts giving you urges and messages and signals like, hey, go over here. Make a left today out of your house instead of a right. Do this, do that, right? It starts urging you onto a path, into an invisible current, an invisible river that if you just let it go, right? If you just let go and follow it and follow the feelings that you're getting, you will have a pretty quick route right to the thing that you want. But it takes a little time to make all the moves, right? And only the universe, only God has the vision to see everything that's going on, to be able to move all the players in such a way that you get the thing that you want effortlessly, right? So that is the way manifestation works. That's why you don't want things to manifest instantly. Like, thank your lucky stars that we can't manifest instantly, because it would be horrible. Like, it would be horrendous. Could you imagine the world right now? If people had the ability to manifest instantly, we'd be dead. We would all be dead. It wouldn't be here. So be glad that manifestation takes time, right? Be glad that there is some work involved, right? Because it means that you definitely want the thing that you're getting, right? If you're willing to put in the work, willing to put in the time, willing to believe, right? Effort is not required when it comes to manifestation because it is all a vibrational thing. But so often, taking action is the step that humans are programmed to do to breed confidence, right? We see our pictures coming into clarity, right? When we start taking action to it, we see the belief that we can go freelance for ourselves when we take action to go out and get clients, or to build the website, or to, to create the ads and to do the marketing that helps our business grow and create the products that help our business grow. When we take those actions, it goes, oh yeah, it makes sense that I'm going to make money now because look at all this work I've done, right? Action breeds confidence. It's not required, but in this reality, it's the way humans are programmed. It's the best way to ensure that humans actually get what they want and aren't always changing their order at the restaurant, because your waitress, the universe, would be like so annoyed at you. Okay. So I hope that makes sense. Okay. So that was the last of the activities that we're going to go over today. There are a few more activities here. There's a few more worksheets in here. There's a daily income tracker. Like I said, there are, which I didn't talk about this. There's a daily income tracker in here, which I love to do. This is something I do in my planner. If you guys have seen my planner set up recently, I track my income every day. I think that's a great way to, like, when you see what's coming in, it just makes you feel abundant, and then abundance breeds abundance. It kind of like, multiplies like that. There's also the affirmations in here, the 50 affirmations. And there's also, I've got a resource guide, right, with books and apps and other information and recommendations for you. Plus I've got like a whole bunch of different, I've got like for each one of the activities, you have a whole thing of like how to, how to do it, like what you need to be mindful of when you're executing on it, and like the points of the process. Okay. So definitely, if you have not already, let me go to there. Let's go. I want to go back to crystal ball. I love the crystal ball. Let's go over here. Oh, I love the crystal ball face. Ooh, okay. I love this. Definitely go ahead and click the link in the description to get the workbook, because I do think that this is going to be an awesome tool for you to be able to go through and do step 1, 2, 3, 4. And like I said, 2 and 3, 2 and 3, 2 and 3, 2 and 3, right? It's not going to be uncommon for you as you're doing your daily journaling, right? And getting yourself into that vibration, that you're going to come up with more limiting beliefs. And the more limiting beliefs you can peel off that onion, the closer you are to like the magical golden egg at the center, right? So that's the way that this process works. That's why it doesn't happen instantly, but it can happen instantly, right? Depending on what you want, right? So like giving the example of something that could happen instantly. Like I said, I'm making this joke about like Pat McGrath HD foundation, which I kind of want, like, and I could afford it. So I could right now just go to Sephora and buy it. And bada bing, bada boom, I have manifested, right? Because that is a manifestation as well. I have the ability to buy it, have the money for it. It's not outside of the realm of possibility for me to just go and get it, right? So I could have a near instant manifestation, right? But because that is something that, like, I know I could afford that, right? But could I go out and buy like a brand new car right now? You know what I mean? Like, it's like a harder of a decision, you know what I mean? Because it would likely require me taking money out of savings and like probably wanting to finance it. You know what I mean? Like right now isn't going to be the time I'm going to go trade in my car and do this. But I mean, I guess technically I could, you know what I mean? So it's like all about that energetic minimum maximum, right? So that's what you have to keep in mind, right? So, yeah. Let's see. Let me see if my notes, see if there's anything else I want to talk to you guys about, but we're here at the end. No, that's it. Q&A, open Q&A. Who has questions about this, right? While you're here with me live, you might as well take advantage. I know we are 2.5 hours into this. Honestly, I didn't think this would take this long, but you know me, it's not surprising. So let me know if you have any questions while you're here with me live. And if you are watching the replay, feel free to leave questions in the comments and I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as possible. Make sure to take advantage of that code over here. It's over here, right? That manifest money for 33% off of the workbook. Okay. Anyone have questions? I guess I could go through and see if there's any comments, but I know that time has progressed. So I don't know if people have gotten questions answered. So I'm so glad to see all of these comments about people like, yes, this is real truth, like, because it really is. Like it really is. And it's something that I know a lot of people don't take seriously all the time. People like to use the term woo-woo. And I really try not to use woo-woo because this is just metaphysics. It's metaphysics, you guys. It's the truth that's behind physics that like we're still trying to figure out. And I know that one day science is going to get to a point where they prove all of this. And I think probably likely once they get to that point, society will likely be kind of like a utopia by the time they figure it all out. You know what I mean? It's like we're not going to need it so much by the time we figure it out, because isn't that the truth of how things work out? Usually, things come to into the mainstream once it's like not necessarily necessary anymore. You know what I mean? You have to go through the struggle. You have to do the work to get the prize, sort of a thing. You know what I mean? So, let's see. Oh, sorry. I should go down to the bottom. Okay. Do I recommend any books on manifestation and or energy? Yes, I do. And I actually put a list of 10 books in the workbook. But I'll go ahead, and what I'm going to do is I don't want to like spoil it for people, but there are so many books on this topic. So many. I'm going to go ahead and off my book list, I'm going to go ahead and choose 2 that I think, I'll give you 3. I'll give you 3 books off the book list that you can start with, right? If you don't, go ahead and buy the thing. There's 10 books on this list. Here's 3 of them I would recommend. Number 1, Get Rich, Lucky Bitch by Denise Duffield Thomas. I think I've talked about this before. If you guys followed me earlier this year when I did the Manifestation Declutter, it was inspired by this book that I read earlier this year. So Get Rich, Lucky Bitch by Denise Duffield Thomas. Another one I'm going to throw in here, okay, is You Got This by me, my You Got This workbook. If you guys don't know, You Got This is my goal setting and organization guide for literally helping you set big picture goals for yourself and achieve them. I added an entire chapter. The entire chapter 6 is about mindset and like self-mastery and manifestation. So if you like this, there is a nice chunk of manifestation information in my You Got This workbook, okay? So let's see, I should probably add a link or something for you guys to buy that. But if you go to my shop, thecharmedshop.com, or you go to, let me see if I can actually just add this. It's not going to be a direct link. But if you go to my shop, if you go under workbooks, you'll see You Got This, okay? So that absolutely is a whole big workbook, 130 pages, over 120 pages for, I think it's over 130 pages of information and activities that take you through what I consider to be like the full process of really goal setting is deciding what it is that you want, right? And then making a concrete action plan that helps you bring it to fruition. And like I said, it incorporates a lot of these ideas of manifestation to help you manifest what you want to reach those goals easier. Oh, and then the third book I'm going to give you off of this list. Okay. Autobiography of a Yogi. This one is a big one. It's complicated in terms of, it's just a big epic of a book. It's written by, ready for this, Paramahansa. It's Paramahansa Yogananda. Okay. He is the yogi who brought yoga to the West, right? So he brought yoga from India to like the US, to the Western world, Europe, things like that. So this book, Autobiography of a Yogi, is, I read it because a lot of people talk about this is the one book that Steve Jobs had required reading every year. Every year he came back to this book. And when you read the book, you understand why. Because he talks about in this book, the Paramahansa Yogananda talks about the nature of reality and life and how we have the ability to manifest and change everything in a way that is it's just like so commonplace, but like so mystical at the same time. So I can understand why Steve Jobs was like, I need to know this book. Like there are stories in this book about people losing and gaining weight within like tremendous amounts of weight in the scope of days, right? Just deciding to change their reality and changing it immediately, right? These are people who have no limiting beliefs. They're just able to change things. And these were things that yogis, in India were able to do. I don't know if they were all called yogis though. What's the other term? They were just like yogic masters, right? And how the practice of yoga really goes into this, right? And so I'm someone who practices yoga. I am someone who, like, my stepmother is a yoga, like, actual, like, full-blown yoga teacher. So she's, like, been able to give me, like, deeper things. You don't need to practice yoga to become an enlightened master, but geez Louise, it helps because it's a totally different way to reprogram your body and your mind and your energy field. Like, it's a total reprogramming. So we've kind of talked about some techniques here that are more mental related, starting from mind and feelings. And yoga is in many very ways starts with posture and intentional breathing and like a more physical way to reprogram. It's like like there's all these different ways that you can manifest, reprogram yourself, that you can come in through any of the different areas of, your body. So Autobiography of a Yogi, that's like an intense one, but definitely worth it. Let me see. I feel like a lot of questions just came in. Someone said, if you happen to manifest the next day, is that the same as instant manifestation? I think so. That feels pretty instant to me. You know what I mean? Obviously there's manifestations where I could say that I want something and I could immediately check, right? Like if I was in the right frequency, theoretically, I should be able to pick up my phone, like say that I want a certain amount of money and pick up my phone and like perhaps see like someone went into my store and bought a whole bunch of stuff for the amount of money. You know what I mean? That I'm looking for. Technically, that's how instant it could be, right? And I realize that this goes into the question of, for a lot of things, it's like, well, what's the time frame on this, right? But you have to remember that time is an illusion. It's a construct. This is another thing that's actually been scientifically studied, that your intentions and thoughts and energy and prayers right now can change any point in the spectrum of your life, right? So like, when you people are sick and they ask other people to pray for them, like you can literally change somebody's life at a different point in their life through positive thoughts and intention and focusing your intention. So if I said like, I want to manifest and I'm ready to manifest like, I don't know, $10,000 this instant, right? If I was in the right frame and I have removed the limiting beliefs, technically I should be able to look at my phone and see it, or I should be able to walk out to my mailbox and pull out a check that just randomly got to me for $10,000, right? Which would mean that the check would have already had to been in the mail, right? But you have to understand, time is an illusion. It is a construct. This goes beyond time. And if anybody has seen, this is actually what I really like about Avengers Endgame, okay? If you guys saw Avengers Endgame, I'm spoiling some stuff again. But they go into that quantum realm with Ant-Man. And this is why Ant-Man is like my favorite Avengers character, right? Because they go into quantum theory a little bit. Like, it's a little bit, like, obviously they're taking a lot of creative liberties. But they're right when they say that in the quantum realm, when you get down to quantum energy can go anywhere. It can go across time. It can go across space in an instant. I'm so sorry, I just hit that. Which is why they were able to go from, the Avengers quarters in like, where was it? Like upstate New York, to any point in time, anywhere in the galaxy by programming, right, the right frequency in their like receivers of their, I don't know, their outfits or whatever they were wearing. I don't remember who knows the science behind it, right? Because it was a movie. But that's why it really works. That is how it works on a quantum level, right? That you can change the past and the future and right now in this moment through energy and vibration, because quantum mechanics is totally different. So I'm so glad it's Faith left a comment about just feeling like it sounds, I don't want to read it out loud because it's a little bit personal. If you guys are here, you can see it in the comments, but sounds like some people are getting some really good breakthroughs, and I'm really, really happy about that. Remember, this is the thing I want to tell you. Remember, I want to bring this in. So whether or not you guys buy this workbook for me today, I do think it would be valuable for you to take a piece of this home with you, right? For you to actually be able to practice, right? This is the thing I want to say. For any of you who like don't feel like you're ready for this right now, maybe right now, in this moment, you don't have the money in your budget for this. And I totally get that. Been there, done that, right? But if you use these tips and you make money, you get money, you manifest money, number one, I want to know about it. I want you to tell me about it. And there's no better way to thank me for helping train you, right, to this amazing life-changing skill development, right? then going and saying thank you by making a purchase in my shop, right? Because I do all this. This class was free, live. I'm taking the time. We're going on to like 3 hours likely with this. And this is my job. I love it. I'm here for this. Like, this is why I show up in the world, right? And we talked about money, not a real thing. It's just an exchange of value, right? Feel free to send me an exchange of value however you feel is appropriate, as soon as you feel like you have seen a return on the investment for this, right? So for some of us, it's going to take a little longer, right? We have to break down those limiting beliefs and those barriers, but I definitely want to hear about your successes with this. And so send me a message, DM me, email me, let me know, what's going on, what you manifested, because I know most of you are probably going to have like some instant manifestations in the next couple of days. I'm 100% confident of that. I'm 100% confident that you watching this, most likely, I know it, you are going to get something that you want in the next 48 hours. It's going to be amazing. Mark my words. Send me a message when it does happen. And feel free to thank me in terms of an energetic exchange by going and finding something on my shop that you really resonate with and purchasing it to help support me and this endeavor I'm doing to bring you guys this free, valuable content in terms of these workshops. So, next question. Okay. Okay, so Rachel says, how can I clear out the stale energy around something I've half-heartedly been trying to manifest for years without success? So there's a lot of parts to this. Okay, let me see. Can I add this? Yeah, I can. I'm going to add this. Okay, this is going to be a great one. Oh, let me move this a little bit. Let me move the code up a little higher. So it's, yeah, okay. So I think in a way, you've kind of given yourself away here, haven't you? Because you said half-heartedly. You put that in there, Rachel. You said half-heartedly. So I think you know that the half-heartedly was the limited belief to begin with, because you can only manifest that which you wholeheartedly believe you are going to get. Like, you know it, right? That's why I said that I could instantly manifest the Pat McGrath makeup, right? I could just go to Sephora right now and get it, right? It could be instant for me. So there's no barriers. I have no barriers. Nothing is stopping me from manifesting it myself. So if I only believed half-hearted, like, to be honest with you right here, and this is a good example, I'm only half kidding about the Pat McGrath thing. Like, I know I have a lot of makeup. I don't need it. You know what I'm saying? It's just an extra thing. Maybe when I run out of a couple other makeups, I'll go out and buy it and try it, right? But that's for me. It's half-hearted. So I'm not going to get the Pat McGrath. Even though I could, I'm not going to get it because I'm half-hearted. I'm not fully committed to this. You have to fully commit in order to get it. That's number one. The second thing that I think is a very important thing to talk about is how to clear, I love what you said here, clear out stale energy around something. Okay. So I think the first thing to do is you have to go back to step one of this process, which is decide. Decide whether or not you want it and you're ready to go in with your whole heart, or decide whether or not you're going to let it go and say, peace out, Cub Scout, on to bigger and better. Now, do not be surprised. This is kind of like I don't want this to be the reason you do this, but don't be surprised if the moment you let go, oh God, I'm hearing it in my head. Alanis Morissette, thank you, right? That song. The moment you let go of it is the moment I let go of it is the moment I got more than I could handle. Sometimes the holding on to something with only half of our heart is like the chokehold on the budget, right? Where you're like, I cannot spend any more than a penny more than what I say I'm going to spend on my food or else. That's the sense of stress. And what you're saying to the universe is, universe, you're stressing me out. You better make sure that I don't get a penny more than this. That's what you're telling the universe. But when you finally decide, that's the first step, that you want it and that you're willing to do the work, or that you're going to let go of it and move on to something else, that's number one. Number two, let's go back to the yoga kind of example. I'm not saying you need to start doing yoga, but something I'm getting really into right now that I'm not really ready to talk to you guys about it fully and like share exactly what I think you should do yet, but I might in the future, is the idea that our body physically holds on to the manifestation of energy, right? And stale energy can sit in your body in different places and fester, and a great way to move that energy, right? Move that energy. Like right now, I'm getting a little sore in my shoulder blades, right? I want to start, we've been sitting here for like almost 3 hours, right? So everyone just kind of like move right now. I know this looks a little silly, but I mean, we've gotten to weird places in this already. So you've already seen me make a half of a mess in my office by throwing around my dog's clothing. So we need to sometimes physically let things out, because humans are physical beings. Like we're here in the physical world. It is an illusion, but it doesn't mean that this isn't real in some way. There is something about this that is in some way real, right? Duh, right? So moving our bodies, like actually letting things go physically. So I think that maybe, Rachel, like once you've decided whether or not you want something or whether or not you don't want it, and you're ready to either put your whole heart into it or pull your whole heart out of it and be like, good riddance, right? Once you've done the deciding part, maybe something you want to do is go ahead and maybe go get a massage, maybe do some acupuncture, right? Because you might be holding on to it somewhere. I bet you feel like you're holding on to it. And I'll give you an example. Obviously, I don't know what Rachel's holding on to half-heartedly, but I will say something that I felt like it could have been is like, oh, I've been half-heartedly holding on to this guy that I feel like is the love of my life, right? And it's like, should I wait for him or should I move on, right? Do I want to be with this guy? You know? Who knows? We can have some elaborate fantasy here. Like maybe he's a sailor. He's traveling around the world, right? Or maybe he's, backpacking through Europe. It's like, am I going to wait for this, right? I've kind of wanted it for a while. And we kind of get addicted to the kind of wanting it because that's the way that humans are programmed. The more you think about something, the more you've got like a neural net in your brain that says, I half-heartedly want this thing, right? That I'm pretending is some guy. Okay? Could be a girl too. I'm not going to make any judgments for you. But we're totally making this up. But where was I going with that? Half-heartedly holding on to it, if it was a relationship, right? So where was I going with that? I was saying that if it was a relationship, because that was the first thing I was thinking about. Oh, a lot of times that is something you might actually be physically holding on to in your body, like in your chest, in terms of chest pain or heart pain or back pain, right? As well. So you actually might feel it somewhere. Like if you're someone who has like a nagging, like knot in your back somewhere that you're like, ooh, this is like right behind like where my heart is or whatnot. And you can like look at like those, Chinese medicine charts for like the way the energy flows through your body and like the chi and all those, I forget what they're called right now, but the pathways and stuff like that. If you feel like you're holding on to something physically, I feel like a lot of times people like hold on to long lost love, right? And it becomes like a chest pain that ends up turning into like a heart palpitation or like heart disease, right? Like something like that eventually manifests itself into a physical issue because you haven't released it. Your body is physically holding on to it. So that was the example. That was why I went there. So physically, you may be holding on to it. And so somebody watching this who may have something that you feel like you're holding on to, you might be feeling it physically somewhere. You know what I mean? I know when I'm worried about things, like when I feel like I'm holding on to things, like I physically feel it. And the best way I feel like, or the quickest way, right? Because sometimes we can't emotionally get over it. Sometimes it's hard to talk ourselves out of it, especially because our neural net is programmed at this point. We'd have to like do the work to overcome it. Sometimes the quickest way to get relief is to just deal with the physical, which is why I think that yoga very often works for this. And that goes into that conversation about that autobiography of a yogi book. Because I do think that that's how, like in my opinion, that's how, through my lens, that is how yoga actually works to affect the other elements of your body. Hope that makes sense. Hope that was hope I answered that for you. I think I did. Okay, so let's see. Oh, someone had asked a good question. If there's any coupon codes for the book on Amazon. I don't have an ability to do that. I don't think. I haven't been able to figure this out. I don't see how I can do that yet because of the way that I have, the way that You Got This workbook is sold on Amazon, right? So, but it is relatively inexpensive, right? I think this is $13, I want to say. I know I've priced this as competitively as I can because it's a journal and it's a 90-day journal. So don't have any Amazon codes, but, sorry, I don't, if I did, I would probably use them. I'll look into it. I will look into it again, but I couldn't find it when I checked in the in my behind the scenes. And I realized that if you're like a normal seller who like ships things out to Amazon, you have the ability to put your things on discount, but I don't think I do because my products are coming like through Amazon's on-demand fulfillment thing. So I think it's just because it's a book, they don't do it that way. And I don't have any ebooks. If I had ebooks, I think I could change the price myself. And I think I can put, like, if I did, what's it called? The Kindle, I think I can put things on sale that way, but I haven't been able to see anything. So no, I don't. Unfortunately, I do not. But I will continue to look into this. And Amazon's always changing things. Let's see. Okay, looks like Mary has a channel. Okay. We're all subscribing to Mary in the comments. I don't even see where Mary is. Where was she? Okay, so it looks like we have gotten to the end of the questions here. Oh, Mary was the plan here. And be Mary. Got it. Okay, sorry. Taking me a second to catch up with you guys talking in the comments. Again, if you're watching this live, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up if you have not yet done it, because there's still plenty of you guys here. We're about to round up onto 3 hours. I cannot believe I've been alive this long, awake this long. But let me tell you, I did have, like I said, I had a really great meditation, and we're just stretching out. So anyone have any questions? Because I think we should consider moving on, right? I think we should consider ending this, going our separate ways, starting to actually do this work, because remember, it is work, you need to do it, but the more you address it head on, overcome the limiting beliefs, rewrite it with the affirmations, program yourself with the affirmations, the quicker you will be able to manifest whatever it is you want. Okay, you guys, I'll wait like 2 more minutes, but it looks like people are saying thank yous and goodbyes. So if you're ready to go too, if you want to leave a comment that's like a wave or a goodbye, then at least I know that you guys have caught up to this point of the video. And because like I said, there's a delay when we're live like this. Awesome. Okay. Awesome. Okay, so you guys are good to go. Thank you so much for joining me today. And make sure you're subscribed to my channel. Give this video a like. Feel free to share it. Of course, get the workbook. Use the code Manifest Money for 33% off. And I will see you guys in the next video, okay? Have a great day. Happy manifesting. And I can't wait to see you in the next live event we do next month. So keep an eye out for that, okay? Toodaloo!